and go through our first couple, regular little things, and then you guys are up first on the agenda. So.
Okay. So let's call this meeting to order quick.
Okay.
Look to see what time it is. Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
I would call for the approval of the agenda. Anybody have comments?
I make motion to approve the agenda as before.
Second?
Second.
In favor?
Yeah.
I should say, if you don't agree, shake your hand. Okay, approval of the previous minutes.
Quick thing on the 3A. I just corrected her name. The rest of that is not right. How you originally had it in the minutes was right. It was just a matter of correctly spelling her name.
Yeah, okay.
So how is your name supposed to be?
Exactly. It is E-T-Y and K-A-Y.
So would that be item 3A1?
Yeah, it's just correct spelling her name. The rest of what was in the minutes is fine.
Okay.
But this part is not. Just correct her name.
I thought they looked beautiful.
Yep. So too.
Anybody else?
Okay, I'll move that we approve the minutes
Second.
with those corrections.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the public is invited to be heard, but we kind of really don't have that. You guys don't count.
You're official.
You're
Phil
official,
counts
right.
a moment.
Exactly. Okay, let's move on to, can we just switch A to B and do the updated video first?
Yeah, there's no update on the scrapbook right now.
Okay.
So we're just waiting to
Okay, let's
get
just
the
say
video
none.
ball rolling, and then we'll go back to that.
Wonderful.
no
Okay,
update.
we're on to the updated video. You're on.
Yeah, so I'll just introduce myself and I'll let everybody kind of follow suit. I'm Molly McCoy. Great to meet you all. I'm sure you might have heard about me prior. This lady over here. Yeah. But yeah, I'm here with Black Sparrow Media. This wonderful gentleman over here, Jamal Page, is our creative director, and Callahan over there, but she can kind of speak for herself. My role, I am the communications coordinator for Black Sparrow Media, and in this specific production, second assistant director, and production manager. So kind of relating with you guys in terms of any information that you kind of would like in this film, and I'll kind of pass out some paperwork in a second here, but I'll let Jamal kind of take the lead from there.
Absolutely. So hi, I'm Jamal. It's good to see you guys. It's good to be here. We're very excited to have the opportunity to work on this project for you all. As Molly was saying, we'll be here on the day. We'll have probably a lot more people doing a lot more things. Everyone is welcomed and encouraged to be here on the day that we film, just so they can all kind of be a part of the process and see just the kind of fun circus of filming things. But in that regards, so we have a couple forms to pass out just so we can get everyone on the same kind of creative vision. What my thoughts were, and I kind of wrote out my creative pitch with Brittany and everything. But our thoughts for what the project will be is, kind of a supplement to the original video that is out there. And we'll have a little bit more, I'm going to say, just modern uses of the camera techniques that probably weren't available last time this was made. So that'll be a lot of fun to kind of bring this to the modern lens. And that's all I have to say. And then this wonderful human over here is Callahan. I've explained to her already that she does not get that.
There's no
I don't think so. I need to do a little bit more digging. So the Callahan that is my namesake. My name is Callahan Woodbury. Is J.W. Callahan, who is a riverboat captain in South Georgia. So not necessarily the same, but you never. They're all everybody's. It's all the same clan. It's great.
Yeah.
I am assistant director for this project. I'm really excited about this, not only because of my name connection, so it's fun to see on my calendar, but also because in my previous career before I moved over into film production, I worked in nonprofits and specifically at a historic house museum in Tennessee, and I oversaw a restoration project there. So this is really exciting to me. I can't wait to see what all you've done, and I would love to compare notes about how that process went because ours was bananas. But I'm really excited to see the Callahan House and share y'all's story.
Well, we're in Tennessee.
Nashville. So I was at Cheekwood.
Okay.
Oh.
I think hopefully everybody saw the email, but Black Sparrow was awarded based on their quote, so we didn't have to do any further process based on criteria. Obviously, we were super excited, knew that you guys were passionate about the project anyway, so it all worked out. But that was the reason we didn't have to, go any further, is because they turned in the best quote. So
Okay,
Really excited.
can we have a clarification of stuff? So
Yeah.
This is a add-on to the other film, because I thought we were kind of trying to go for something that would be good enough that we could possibly put it forth to be on the Colorado experience with PBS.
Yeah,
So that's the
both
plan.
options are viable, yeah.
Okay.
So whichever the board is comfortable with
Yeah,
is what we'll go with.
And I
Yeah.
think what kind of Jamal is saying in terms of add-on is not to, something that we've been using a lot is a supplement, but not
Not
replace,
replace, yeah.
which is, we want to acknowledge the quality of work that was done with the original film by also kind of reiterating some of those historic aspects that were brought up in the initial film, not taking away any of them by any means, but by, if anything, adding additional historical facts and additional quality to it to be a nice sister film.
Okay.
Yes.
yeah, I think based on the nature of what we're doing and the information we want to share, naturally some of the information is going to be repeated. But again, the intention not to replace, but to just like be a
Compliment.
the compliment. There you go. Okay. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And to utterly also kind of be able to pitch on to, PBS, which I know is something that you guys have all mentioned prior.
And hopefully we'd like to set up a viewing at the museum also, kind of a reception for that,
Yeah.
and that'd be really cool.
And I'm in connection with Eric at the museum.
Yeah.
About like this entire process. So.
Great.
That would be very cool.
That would be amazing.
So I think you guys wanted to get some input from the board to make
Yeah,
sure
yeah,
that you're
so we
on
have,
the right page and
I'll let him
Absolutely.
hand
So
out
we're
the
going
stuff
through,
first.
we're creating the script. So the plan for what the video will actually visually look like when you're watching it is we have a lovely host actress that we've hired. And she'll kind of be like the tour guide that takes you through the house. As she does that, we'll go through different rooms, different areas, and we'll be talking about the history of it, the significance of said area, as well as where applicable. We'll talk about like how it's used today. And so that will be true for both the interior of the house and the exterior. We're doing the whole thing, whole thing caboodle. So in that sense, we're writing the script, and we want to make sure we get all the historical facts right. But on top of getting everything right, we want to make sure everyone's voices and input is heard. So what I have here is not the script per se, but an outline of the script. So this is like a work in progress, if you want to think of it that way. So this will kind of run through, I've got bullet points here. It says, gardens, the house exterior, the automobile house, and then each one kind of has just bullet points of things that we're going to touch on. Whereas the actual script, of course, will be a lot more filled out and detailed. But this will give you an idea of where the project is going. And it will allow you to add your own input, which Molly has a form for that as well. So I'll go ahead and start
I'll
passing
review that in a
these
second.
around, which they should be. Go ahead and check them in case they got stapled weirdly. Some of them might have been.
Yeah. And as you guys are passing that out, once that all kind of goes around, I'll hand out these, which is just a short little survey. In general, I'm gonna have you put your name, your email. That way, if I have to ask any additional follow-up questions, I can. But we just kind of want to know what your overall image is for the documentary. Do you have any specific events or features regarding the home that you believe must be included that are not already on here? And is there anything that you do not want in this film that was maybe previously included or has not been mentioned, or is maybe something that is important to present day Longmont that we just should not include for specific reasons, etc. I think that it's important to note that as well. And any additional comments or critiques, I did, last one kind of extends over, so feel free to go over to the back page and Brittany will kind of be relaying this back to me. So feel free to send this to Brittany, and then she will send it back to me. Thank you so much for doing that. So
Yeah.
And what is
Perfect.
your I think we want to turn these around fairly quickly.
Yes.
You guys need them back by
next week if we
when?
can.
Okay.
If we could just do next Wednesday, that would be amazing.
Back to you by next Wednesday.
Yes, yeah.
If possible.
Okay.
yeah.
So if
Yeah.
you could get these into me by like Tuesday, does that give enough time? I know it's a quick turnaround, but
I honestly think that between Candy and Karen, they're our biggest history. Karen's our historian, and so she's gonna have lots of information on there. In the past film, do we have anything that wasn't correct? In the past film, any comments?
I need to review it.
Go through it.
Back to me by Tuesday, and then I'll get it to
I
them.
can't do that
It's
right
pretty
now,
long,
but,
isn't it?
It's about 30.
It's about
30?
Okay,
Okay,
so
so it's
The 14th is
Okay.
Tuesday. I'll send it to you all.
Have you watched it go over and over?
Is there anyone else not
Okay,
here?
I'm just here by myself.
Yeah. I was curious about one thing, if you were able to answer on
No, I think we're
the
good. Yeah, thank you.
website. This is for the statues, the Greek statues. On the website, it lists one of them as Artemis, and then on the other documents, the household documents we have it listed as Venus. So I just wasn't sure.
Yes,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
because it's an Italian
Yes,
garden.
and that's part of the stuff on the website, that's like, I said, there are inaccuracies on the
Yeah.
website.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
need to.
Okay, I just wanted to double
Yeah.
check to make sure I wasn't going with any wrong information.
No,
Okay.
we can definitely clarify
Okay.
all of that, because
Yes.
there are some inaccuracies on the website.
Gotcha.
Okay, so I'll send out an email to, just like with a calendar reminder to get the surveys back into me by Tuesday, and then I'll send those to you guys on Wednesday.
Okay.
Great. Okay.
I hate to be a pain in the butt, but is there any way that we can get these digital?
No, I can absolutely send a digital copy. Absolutely. Brittany and I had discussed it, and we had thought a physical copy might be a little bit easier, but I can absolutely send out a digital copy to you like immediately after this meeting.
Yeah, I said paper, so.
Yeah.
But would
No,
it
that's
still
okay.
need to be
Fine.
printed out in order?
No, you can
Yeah.
absolutely,
The
you
fields are-
can totally email that to me, and I will, I'll put it in a specific form that all you can
Okay.
do is fill it out and send
Yeah.
it.
Right.
Same
Super,
for
super easy.
the project outlines. If you want those digitally, we can just send those over to you.
Yeah,
That's great.
So if we don't do it digitally, how do we get this back to
We
Clarice?
have to hand it to her.
Okay.
So.
Yeah.
Or take a picture of it,
Yeah.
which is a
Take a
great,
picture of it.
yeah.
Yeah, you
Okay.
can scan it in or
Awesome.
take a picture on your phone and send
Yeah.
it. See,
Me and not.
whatever's easy, we'll get the information out, yeah.
You have to bring it over to
Picture
Snail mail it tomorrow.
snail mail it. There you go.
Get it.
So, okay, great. Is there anything else you guys wanna discuss specifically or point out that you're looking for in terms of information from the board, input, or?
Not quite at this time. I mean, I kind of just wanted to make sure that everyone is aware of just like the process, and of course, like again, invite everyone to be present if they choose to be present whenever we film this, whatever those dates.
Did you have those dates set yet?
We do, but we're waiting on some contractual stuff to go through the city, which
Yeah.
But
Takes it.
unfortunately,
I'm not sure how long that'll
Okay,
take.
enough said.
we have a TBD dates at the moment,
Yeah,
but
penciled in.
yeah.
Is that for like a service agreement or something?
Yeah, it's because the quote, because of the amount of the quote, it has to go through legal and risk and so that's the whole thing. So,
Okay.
yeah, so we're working on that on the back end. Pam Broding through purchasing is trying to get that pushed through for us as quickly as possible, but you know, so we've got some
Yeah,
dates penciled in,
Do we have a
which I
ballpark?
think are.
Yeah. So our initial plan
Yeah,
that we had
it's
was
a
what was it? May 23rd.
Yes, let me get the exact dates
Yeah.
for you right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So,
it is May 21st through the 23rd,
Yeah.
was our
Yeah.
initial dates,
but
and
those
then
were for the interior.
yes, only
of the
interior
house.
because of the exterior flowers and gardens that we obviously want to have in full bloom. So we had exterior dates for 16th and 17th of July, and that at this point, if the contract is not approved by May, we will probably push to July. That is our
just to keep it easier.
expected.
Great. I just needed a clue.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
September.
No,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to get the ball rolling as soon as possible, but
Right.
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
Great.
so.
And I do have a question. As assistant director, one of my roles is going to be making sure that our people are where we need to be and doing the things that we need to do and staying on time. Who is my best point of contact in this room or not in this room for actual physical materials in the house, what we can touch, what we can move, where we can be?
Yeah, I'll be present during all of the
Yeah,
filming.
wonderful.
And I'll be your point of contact for setting up dates and all that stuff if we need to make changes or whatever it is.
And this is something that we also discussed with Brittany in our previous meeting, which I apologize for not kind of relaying to you, Callahan, is you were gonna give us a list of all materials that could not be like photographed or have any videography just because of light purposes.
Yeah. Well, that was something we were wondering is like a lot of the photographs, you know, in here, if we have any concerns about those being photographed, or if there's a way that you guys can do it without a direct light source on them, or if there are thoughts about that. So, I don't know, something to think about.
Absolutely.
Obviously, we want them included.
Yes.
Right.
And we can absolutely do things without direct light sources, and that's something I know that we talked about as well. But it would depend on time of day, so we'd have to be in here when the house is well lit. And, you know.
And speaking of which, when you guys are going around today, because they're gonna go around and set up a shot list and stuff. There's no curtains on anything because they're being washed.
I thought
it felt
pretty
good in here. That's why I was
going
stepping in
on?
here.
Isn't it nice? I
Isn't it
love
nice?
it.
So bright.
But the light will be a little bit different. We're gonna
gosh.
get those back in. And also I mentioned to y'all that we're getting a new piano. That's not gonna be for a few months.
Okay.
So it's being shipped to our like piano expert person on May 24th, but then he's gonna have it for 2 or 3 months before we get it here. So just an FYI, that's gonna be a little bit later down the road than we thought.
See, the one that's in there now, that's not worth photo,
Yeah,
film.
that one's
not
from
worth
like
filming.
1965 or 1970.
Yeah.
We can always
Yeah.
come back and get footage of like the piano.
Okay.
That's not like it's not like a full room.
Yeah.
In terms
Yeah,
of
okay.
that, yeah.
Great.
Get some nice views.
So, yeah.
The only other question I have is we had talked about doing the doing the
the QR codes.
The
yes.
QR
Yeah,
codes.
we talked about that.
Yeah,
and
we discussed
specific
that.
pieces is that going to be included?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we're
Okay.
figuring out like what the best arrangement for that is.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we had,
I know we're not going to do it on everything, but
Yeah, we don't
specific-
want them all over the place.
No,
I think we were
just-
thinking like maybe 2 or 3, like maybe one for interior,
Yeah.
one in the garden, one for the auto house, something like that. Just because we don't aesthetically want them all over the place, but yeah, right? You're just-
Yeah, and then
Make
the
those
hope
on
is
every
that we
little
would
item.
also try to do like something clear or something that was not noticeable, kind of. Well, not noticeable, but not taking
Not
away
intrusive.
from
Yeah.
Yeah,
the-
something
the
non-intrusive.
historic.
Yeah.
That would be amazing. That's so.
And then the link to, I think we talked about kind of portioning out some of the
Yeah.
videos so that like
yeah,
there's a
so
section
like
on the
wherever
garden, so this links to
that
this
section is, yeah.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's gonna be great.
That's exactly what I've always wanted.
Yeah.
So that's exactly great. Great.
Cool.
Awesome. Well,
Anything else that you guys wanted to go over or?
that's all I have.
Okay.
One thought I had is, you know, of all the events that take place here, the one that is the most beautiful and high profile is the wedding parties outside.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if there could be, you know, like a 10-second, a cut to some B-roll
Yeah.
of them
Yeah.
So because we had
bride
discussed
going
that
down the aisle.
there might be a wedding happening here, which of course they'll have their own videographers and
Right.
people, but
Yeah.
they might be kind enough to lend us some of that footage for the sake of the video.
Yeah.
Good
So
stuff.
Longmont Public Media is working on like a virtual venue tour, which is meant to be more of a sales marketing item for weddings and private rentals. And I think you guys are in connection with them,
Yeah.
right? So we're thinking that
Yeah.
they might, you know,
Yeah.
lend a little bit of that footage to this
Right.
video.
That's great.
Yeah.
Because Rachel Moyer, who's getting married here at the end of this month, who is our marketing person for the city of Longmont
Oh, that's
is having LPM out to her wedding to do drone footage.
Yeah.
And they're working, so there's,
Great.
yeah, so it's
Oh,
good.
that's
A lot going on with that, but
That's
some of
fun.
it can be interconnected.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
That would be
Yeah.
amazing.
You guys are such fun things.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Oh,
I
sure.
forgot to mention that, but yeah. So, cool.
Perfect.
I forgot to tell you guys,
Thanks,
there's coffee and tea in this room right here, so help yourself if you want some. But yeah, and then you guys are just gonna like cruise around and put together.
See all the things.
Okay, okay, great. Although we're kind of self-touring, but
Yeah.
let us know if you have any questions, we'll be
Absolutely.
right
Thanks
here.
for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm glad you guys are doing it.
May 26th.
We're so excited to do this project.
Yeah.
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 I don't know if I'll see you later or not, but a good meeting after this.
Cool, okay. So be sure we get all that, any ideas and questions, whatever, back to Brittany by Tuesday.
Yeah, and I'll send out an email, like a calendar invite, just as a date reminder.
Thank you, I love that, that helps me.
Yeah.
It does, it
Sure.
does make a difference.
I really, I know it's probably a pain in the butt, but
No, not at all.
that is so helpful to have
It
this.
is, very much.
And just for the agenda, whenever Rachel shows up, she's supposed to be here around 10:15, 10:30, I think. But whenever she shows up, we'll skip to branding if that's okay.
Okay, okay, sounds great.
That's why yeah.
Okay, let's carry on to club affair. That's the next item on the agenda.
We met after the last regular meeting upstairs, and at that meeting, we revised the letter that had been used in the past, and we discussed the fee that should be charged, and we also talked about our list of clubs to contact, and added some to that, including Maureen was gonna get in touch with the lady with El Comité.
I haven't I have spoken to her briefly, but I don't have more information to bring back on that. But I do have that, and I also have I've gotten a contact for the, what's it, AAUW, was one of the people that were.
Yeah, that's what I worked on that too yesterday.
So we're still kind of fine tuning those contacts and stuff, but we need to get, we need to set a meeting, we didn't do that.
Oh,
So
that's right.
what I'm thinking is that right after, immediately after this meeting, because I know we have another meeting, but right after this meeting, if the four of us involved with this could discuss a future meeting, like next week, maybe even at my house,
Oh, that would be wonderful.
and we could, for sure, get the letters ready to go
And
that day.
I will
Right.
have more information by that point. That
Me
would be
too, I
nice.
should be. That's
Okay, so we'll talk about that at the end of the meeting. One question I do have, we talked about the fee, and initially when we did this the first two times, the fee was connected to the size of the table that they were going to use. And we asked them what size they wanted, and so we kind of mulled it over and decided, maybe they don't need a table. And maybe we just decide, once they register, whether we're gonna put them outside or in the carriage house or in the dining room, or just what their club was conducive to, instead of saying, for this fee or this amount, you can rent a card table, you know. Instead of saying that and being that specific, that we would kind of assign this space, and it might include a table, and it might not.
Mhm.
And then our price the fee that we came up with was $40. We had charged $25 in the past. So because of inflation, we were looking at increasing that. I don't know, what do you think? Does that sound reasonable? Does it sound too steep?
Sounds very affordable to me. I think people can pay $50 to $100 for a table at like a convention or an art fair or things like that. So I think it's very reasonable personally.
Well, and the other thing that we noticed in looking at this letter is we were providing like refreshments for everybody who participated, attendees and the club people as well.
Right.
So that $40 would have to include that type of thing too.
Is that something that we still want to offer?
That's one of those things. I still think it wouldn't be totally astronomical if $40 just seems so minimum to me.
Yeah.
I don't know that we don't make it 50 and then do the like refreshments that gives us an additional. I know I keep on creeping the numbers up, can't you? I don't mean to, but you can't do anything for that price. You really can't.
Yeah, I mean,
You're
how
lucky if
many people would we be talking about providing food for?
We hope a lot.
Yeah, well, I mean, ballpark, what do you think?
And
Like-
I'm thinking light and refreshments to me means cookies,
Cheese and crackers.
and cheese
Yeah.
and crackers and
Yeah. I think it would be, I've never been to this, but I know food is like a really,
It's a draw.
yeah, people like to
Yeah.
have a snack when they walk around and things.
But this
so-
would just be for the club people, not for the general public?
Yes, no, it'd be
It'd
for
be
the
for everybody.
The food is for the
Anybody
general public?
comes and
It's for
wants.
everybody.
It's like going to
That's
any
gonna be
kind
very
of-
expensive.
Because
I'm
that's
just
hard
started.
hard to, you know, differentiate it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes, you can have what
You
cookie
can-
that's.
Like staffing.
You can only have one cookie, you can't have
Right,
two cookies.
right.
Because we want to make
Beverages.
money on this event. I mean, the purpose is also to get clubs in the house and make future funds and, you know, to put ourselves out there as
what if
an offering to the
what
community,
if
but
we
that's
got
gonna be
donations?
expensive.
What if we got donations, like from the local grocery stores for packaged cookies? I mean, we could get some sugar-free cookies and regular cookies, and then we're just supplying water and lemonade or something
Yeah.
along those lines.
Well, I
Let's
do
reach
know
out
for a
to-
fact that all the grocery stores, these Kings and Safeway, they will give you a certificate, like a $20 gift certificate, and you can spend it on whatever you want.
We do,
Panera will
you know,
give you
catering
donuts,
with Sprouts, maybe they'd be
all the
willing
leftover
to
daily
donate
bagels.
since we spend
Lots.
money with
I
them.
want those.
Bags of them. You take them, get them out of here.
Who
Yeah.
does that
We do it
here?
at church.
Panera.
Panera, just they give away their bagels at the end of the day. And sometimes you've got big grocery sacks full of bagels.
Huh.
Yeah, I think we need to think about something like that, because providing food for, I mean, we hope to have several hundred people come to this.
Right, that's a
Yeah,
lot.
But I'm not sure about bagels.
Well, I'm not sure about, just the fact that people are eating and wandering through the house makes kind of a mess.
Yeah.
Well, that too, there's that.
That makes me kind of cringe.
What about, I don't know, what if we got some food trucks to come and like, you know, people can
That would
have
be
food for
nice.
purchase if they want to, you know, if it's gonna be a several hour event or
They can
gardens
sit out
gonna
and
be
have art
activated,
together.
Yeah.
That make it like, come and
That's
check
like
stuff
It
out,
makes me more comfortable.
food trucks.
What if we
Yeah.
looked at?
So then people can purchase their own food, but there's still food
Right.
available.
That's a good
And they're
idea.
eating it out there.
And we
pretty
could-
good.
Sometimes when you get vendors, like the food truck vendors, they might give like a discounted ticket price to like the people that are participating, the clubs and things like that. Like they might offer a discounted meal for those people if we're setting them up to come and giving them a lot of business.
Isn't that something that they do down in Prospect Park during the
They used
summer?
They used
to
to.
do
Yeah,
it.
They don't do it anymore.
I'm just
Unfortunately,
old.
it was so fun.
My mind
I mean, when
wanders,
people
but-
see food trucks, they know it's an event and
Yeah, it
food
makes
trucks
it feel.
have good food.
It's
So,
good
and they could,
advertising.
yeah, they would get a better offering than like if we
Right.
set out, you know, chips and cookies and stuff like that.
I think that's a great idea, and then we're not paying for it.
Right.
Do you want that food to come into the house though? Or do you want?
No.
I
No,
prefer
in
that
the
in
garden.
the yeah.
Which would be, I think that would be fine to manage, you know. People could eat in the garden.
So then if we could just provide water, bottled water for our,
And
We
like
can
that.
provide water. I don't know that we
not
should
to,
provide
not to the
bottled
public,
water,
but to the people who have set up
Yeah,
outside
vendors.
or
we can
wherever.
provide like coffee and tea and water for those people.
Okay,
Yeah,
that would
probably
be
not bottled water, just
water.
ecologically, but yeah, we can do a water station.
That would be
and coffee
amazing.
and tea.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then have the food trucks.
I don't know that we'd even need to do coffee, but cold beverages, I think, is what we're.
Yeah, iced tea and water.
Yeah, 'cause
Iced
we're
tea
talking
water.
August.
Yeah.
August hot.
Yeah, but not gonna work.
Yeah, I think let's,
So are you sticking at 40 then?
we could still charge 50. That's
I don't know.
still-
Yeah.
50 is still really
I-
reasonable in my opinion, but
But I saw, when I looked at like talking to the Quilters International, those little old ladies, $50 is a lot of money to them. They don't pay a bunch of money into their club.
that's
And they get
fair.
together to quilt, and they're gonna go, I'm not giving you $50 so I can sit in the house.
Okay.
I know Peggy and
No, that's good.
Linda.
I mean, that's good insight.
I'm just saying, some people are gonna say, no, I don't want that.
Well, you know, even though it's a fundraiser, I think it does a lot of good for Callahan House and for the community if it's not so restrictive in terms of the fees. I mean, you might be shooting yourself in the foot if you make it too much, even though it should be,
Yeah,
you know, even though the going rate
right.
might be more, because you really want a lot of people
So
to come
for
and do this.
$40, we
Well,
stick to the 45.
I think
What if
so.
it's like a suggested fee, pay what you can kind of a thing, like a donation
Yeah.
sort of base? Like suggested donation is $50, but if that doesn't work for you,
Say it again.
That's a really good idea.
That's nice. A lot of
But
Because then it does-
I
then it's
I also
Sometimes I'll pay more than you
accessible.
think.
Yeah, or maybe we get more from some people, but then it's more accessible for clubs that can't pay
Yeah.
50 or whatever.
Yeah.
Cool.
Suggested
So do we
donation
set a
$50,
minimum?
but
Suggested fee is $50, minimum is.
yeah, maybe a minimum of
30,
30.
I think
Yeah.
so.
Minimum of 30.
Karen, what were you thinking? I saw your face. What were you thinking?
That's on your face.
I think you're on the right track now with a suggested donation. I do think that while this is a fundraiser, this is really a light fundraiser. This is
Right.
really
Exactly.
more about
It's not
community
about-
outreach
yeah.
and
Exactly.
support.
It's not about
The
getting
focus is not
participation.
to have some serious
Right.
funds
I
come in
Yeah.
from this fundraiser. It is really more about community outreach and club support.
And I think we addressed all that in the rewriting of the letter that we were sending out. And I also am happy to report that the Questers are very excited, and we're talking about having as a state, we have the whole state organization come
Cool.
present,
Nice.
not just our chapter. So
That's great.
Great.
they're
So, yeah.
really jazzed about it.
Carriage House would be a good place maybe for them?
Possibly. That's one of those things that they have all sorts of flyers and stuff, and they're very excited about it.
So if we said, suggested donation would be, $30 to $50. Give
So
a range.
suggested donation 50, minimum fee
not
or
put a
minimum
minimum?
donation?
I don't think putting a minimum is.
Okay,
Okay.
so suggested,
Yeah, what's the
suggested donation
If you
$50,
just put a
but
suggested fee,
donation.
that means they can pay that, they can pay a little less, or they can pay more.
Okay,
So do we even say the bottom?
I
No,
would
No,
not
just
put a minimum.
suggested. Because then at that point you're saying,
Yeah.
we want you to pay $30.
yeah,
I would just
donation
say
based.
Suggested donation fee is
Suggested
$50.
donation, whatever you.
So, but in the letter, we said, now remember, this is a fundraiser, so it's in there, so we've already addressed it. So if we just put in what we had just spoken about is a suggested fee, I think. And I think $50 is good, and if people want to pay less than that, because that's what they can afford, that's what they'll give.
Does that sound good?
Yes.
Try to be as inclusive as we can.
Yes, yeah. Okay.
The food trucks, anybody have personal connections with the food trucks?
Sam's gonna be a go-to with all of her connections for her events.
Okay.
in that whole process.
Why don't
And,
I,
you know, like Sam's gonna be your go-to for that.
okay, why don't I work on that?
Sam Calhoun.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's our event coordinator for the
Yeah,
city.
we've met Sam before, she's been here at one of the
Open house
meetings.
event.
And I
Yeah,
think we probably
it's-
just want 2 or 3.
Yeah.
3 might even be a lot for your space.
2.
Yeah.
Because there's like the passport one that goes to all of our events, and they're like, their food is all over the place.
Yeah.
That's why it's called a passport.
Those kind of things, okay.
For
So
hours,
maybe 2, yeah, what is
the hours were 10 to 1.
So lunch.
And of course, I'll have to be here early, like 9 to set up and then
Okay.
to 2 to take down. But 10 to 1.
Crunchy,
Crunchy
So-
type.
Yeah,
things,
it's
okay.
Lunchy.
And there is a biscuit, is it John's?
Oh yeah, they're
Biscuit?
Joe's or something. I've seen that
Joe's
on
Johnny, something like that.
Okay.
It's
Sam
quite
will.
popular.
Yep, Sam.
Okay, I will work on that. And we'll see if we can get them to give like a discounted ticket to the vendors.
To do a special.
Okay.
Probably, yeah, there's probably a permit, but we'll
That's nice.
figure it out.
There's always a
A
permit.
discounted ticket
Always have to
to,
ask
We'll
someone.
potentially,
Right,
like a discounted
exactly.
meal, or just
For the
maybe a discount
presenters?
for the, yeah, for the
Okay.
events and
that's a
stuff.
great idea.
So,
Maybe.
Yeah, they, at Rhythm on Roosevelt, they never even.
so Brittany, a question about
So good luck with that.
So maybe not, but.
being able to use, house stationery. Do we have specific paper we can run it off on?
Letterhead.
Do we?
Thank you.
I don't know.
Letterhead.
That's a great question. I can look. Do we have some?
I think
Callahan
if
letter.
we were to use an official stationery, it would be the
new branding, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, actually, it would be either the letterhead, Miss Callahan used, or it would be, what Connie and I have recently used with the gate and pillars.
Yeah.
At the tops of the,
I'll see if we have something.
so.
If not, we could get something
There
creative.
maybe, there's maybe something kicking around we could just use up,
There might be.
you know?
Oh, look, there might be something.
And that,
Yeah,
the drawers
There
upstairs
used to
might
be
buy.
boxes of
Right.
stuff,
And
so there might
yeah.
be some paper
There's
that
a lot
we
of paper.
use.
Okay.
And
I'll
the
look.
other thing is mail merge. Can we do that with this kind of thing?
Constant contact?
Because our letter said dear members of, and we had handwritten in each questers or whatever.
Yeah, we
Probably
could
this
set up a new constant contact list for this.
Oh, that would be
But it,
amazing.
you wouldn't be individualizing it, it would be one general, you know what I mean, like it wouldn't have their.
It wouldn't be each individual organization.
So what would be a
In
good term
constant
to use that
contact,
would
is
it
we
be?
can put in
Couldn't,
We can
couldn't
put
we
in- names and email addresses.
Mail
Just
merge
make
it?
like a new list.
Right, but that content of the constant contact
Oh,
wouldn't be individualized unless you
Yeah.
created individual constant
I don't
contact.
think
Wait a
it
minute,
was
constant
right?
contact
It'd be this.
is that a letter or a
It's an
newsletter?
email, it's an email, it's
But
what,
is it to, who is it to?
Whoever we need it to be to.
I think so.
Okay.
The letter can be the same to each club,
But it's not a broad.
right? The
But it
letter's
also
the
needs
same.
to be an email.
Right.
Because I found in the past the letters get lost and you have to send an email anyway, so.
Right, but it's the
we're gonna
same
do it
letter
both
and
ways.
email that goes out to
Do it both
everybody.
ways, right?
Yeah.
Okay, in
Same
which
letter,
case, yes,
it would
we
just
can do
be just the overall
name of the,
introduction, like
Yes,
dear questers.
Yes, we
Dear
can do that.
club.
Or if
Dear.
we come up with a term that's all encompassing, dear club participants or,
Yeah,
Right.
but we can put it, I mean, when I would like upload a list of emails, it would be their name and email, so we can put in.
Okay, so that'd be
so-
okay.
Yeah.
That's
And
what, we
yes.
just want a verification that,
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
something possible.
Those of us who don't do the
Okay.
okay.
So definitely wanna get
Not
this
well,
out,
I can do it, but.
before the end of May.
Yes.
Yes.
Do we need a hard copy letter in addition to an email? You all know these groups, is that
You know, I think there's
probably
enough people
necessary?
that appreciate that,
Mhm.
in the older clubs, I think.
Yeah.
And then there's enough,
When I think about the
So both
cultures.
is
I
good.
don't think equesters.
Yeah, you need a letter. You need
Okay,
a piece of
sounds
paper.
good.
so we're still feeding both eras.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's both sections that we wanna catch, so.
Okay. Great.
Okay, anything else on club affair?
Oh, one other question. As far as them paying for this, how, in the past, it was always a check, you'd mail a check in.
Do it
But
through,
we can set up a way for them to pay online. I think we could create,
through RevTrak.
like a registration in RevTrak. So yeah, they could pay online. They could also send a check if they prefer. So I think we could take,
Can we do both options?
yes,
That would be great.
Yeah.
And
Good
so,
question.
that will need to be stated in the letter that you
Right.
can make
Mhm.
payment here, here.
I will
yeah, they can either,
Yeah.
clean this up and send the committee a copy, you a copy, and then you can
Massage it.
write it up for me where
Right.
it's to say things better than I
okay,
probably will say.
sounds good.
And
I think we've done really well, to be honest, Candy.
Yeah,
Be a
sounds
little
like
hard
it.
on yourself. If we could just if you could just plop that in, is basically what we need.
She can go over it with her magic wand.
Okay.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is club selection criteria. I didn't make it
So
that
we
meeting.
met on April 24th at 10 to go over what was presented. But in the process, we had separated out the criteria into what would be more of a questionnaire or something that the club would fill out, kind of like an application. And then a separate page that would be just helpful direction for the board members to be able to review the information in the document. And after that meeting, we've then since got some feedback from legal about a couple of pieces of the criteria. And so held off on putting together that survey or questionnaire and direction because of that. So legal, I think you all can see that on the, it's included in the packet. Okay? That, yeah, page 5. So legal is recommending to remove number 1 and 8 of the criteria.
Requiring these 3 highlighted items need to be removed.
Okay.
So
And do they need to be removed, or is it a suggestion?
they need to be removed.
What's
They're saying that it's a federal level issue. That they're very black and white that these items cannot be included.
Okay.
and they're saying it's a federal.
Yeah.
issue.
Just like in terms of protected classes, and like we don't want to have any potential for discrimination issues or anything of any kind. So
Just
Yeah.
don't say it.
yeah, it's just they just need to be removed.
But they
And
do
they-
acknowledge that the warranty deed is a legal document that's recorded in
Yes,
Boulder County.
yes,
And so that
But-
language
in
is in the recorded deed.
yes,
Yeah.
in 1938, and with respect to the deed. And as we talked about in the last meeting, more than likely it will continue to be a lot of women's clubs,
Right.
just naturally
Right.
catering to that. But in no way should that be reflected here or the deed be included in a criteria for selecting people to use the house.
It's not your criteria.
So
The fact that you're a women's club or not.
Well, it sounds pretty cut and dry.
Yeah.
it goes
Yeah.
here.
And you can't do it, so don't do it.
So yeah.
So the question is, does the city have an online form that it would like the format of this to be put into? How would you like the format? Because with the criteria, we can, that.
Yeah, well, I think what
Or
the
do
question
you
is
put it
what's
online?
best for the clubs, because we can do it online. We can also have, a hard, I think it's, how do we make it most accessible for the clubs? Online would certainly be easiest for it coming in to us for review.
Online?
Like a application process for
Okay,
clubs that
but
wanna use
there-
the house.
Yes, that's what I was thinking, yes.
Or use the house.
Yeah, so like an online, an intake form, basically, to be like, we're interested in the house for club space, and then it goes through a process,
Okay,
so it can be whatever is most accessible, I think, for people.
I'm trying to get my head wrapped around that the fact that what kind of diversity is represented within the club members. I can understand, is it the way we asked it? I know when we do grants, that's one of the first things, what type of diversity do you have? That's one of the things they ask.
Sure. And
Well, how do we answer that question if we aren't even allowed to ask our clubs what they're doing as a diversity?
it's the matter of using this as a criteria for acceptance.
Mhm.
That's the thing. So it's not that in a survey, maybe, of clubs that if people want to fill out that information, but using it as a criteria to say who is accepted and using the house is not an appropriate place for these questions.
That does make sense.
So,
It just
and,
shouldn't be
in
on the
terms of
record.
the
It
grant,
shouldn't be one of the questions to ask for.
that can
a
just be
criteria.
something that we, that knowledge is provided by us to the best of our understanding.
And
There are-
their
in other words,
answers
there are-
may very easily give that information because
Yeah.
it's often something to be proud of.
Right.
your club is.
Yeah, it could be the purpose of their group is celebrating a certain aspect of that, and so, it's made very obvious, but it just can't be part of a criteria.
Right.
For who can use
There
this.
are other ways to find out, to get that
Yeah.
information.
Sure,
If needed.
Other than
If
a
needed,
criteria
yeah.
slot.
Yeah.
So,
So, okay, what we can do is, would we like to schedule well, we already have, the guidelines, we'll just amend them a bit
Mhm.
with, these. And then.
Can I make a suggestion that we just amend them with these and then you send it out and we look at it and then we get it moving forward?
Right.
Because we've worked on this pretty
Yeah.
diligently in regards to this point. And if that's kind of where it's at, then I don't know that we can make any more changes than those and we just move forward.
I agree.
So
we want some kind of intake form, correct?
Mhm.
Okay.
And so I can, like Maureen said, I'll
Or something.
send
Just
to
amend
the
what you have.
committee members that we're working on this task too, the examples of what they're gonna look like, and then send that along to you, and then if you can put the survey or questionnaire or application, I don't know the right word, we want to use an application, into whatever format the city would use
Yeah,
for electronic purposes.
I think we could potentially make it available on the website, like an online form, which will take some time, because we'll need Ian our website person to put something together like that. Or it could be often when clubs are interested, they end up just reaching out to me via email or to
Exactly.
the Callahan email.
Right.
So that I can
Like a
just,
request form that they just
Yeah.
fill out.
Right.
exactly. So that will probably
Right.
get used
That's
the most.
Right.
And actually that might be
You could just
easy
put
as
your
on the
interested
website, just
being a
say
club
Just
member.
direct them to that.
email here, and then I can send them the form. That would
Right.
probably be the easiest.
I like
Yeah,
that.
that's exactly what we're thinking,
Yeah. Okay.
really.
Okay.
Yeah, because then they can either print it and fill it out if they need to, or fill it out online.
Yeah,
So the day of the club affair, hopefully there'll be a lot of questions along those lines.
and we
So we
should have,
either are prepared to hand them the website or the
Yeah.
forms.
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
kind of what we're working
Yeah.
on getting.
That'll
And
be
it
great.
is a one-page,
Yeah, it's simple.
It is very,
Yeah.
it is that.
Okay.
So-
Great.
Okay, great. Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for that work. Looks good. Anything else on club selection criteria? Okay, the next item is club survey, the committee creation.
So, obviously, I plan to help with that, so. Because I have the original survey.
Okay,
Yeah. So I think
But we
we
need to pare it down,
put the
we
committee
need to simplify
together.
it, because it actually is gonna be different
Yeah.
from what the original was.
Yeah.
yeah,
Want to
We
make
were
it much
gathering a whole
simpler.
bunch of information,
Right.
because we didn't have it originally. With the exception of the 3 clubs that are new, we may want to ask them to complete the original one that we had all
I
the other
think we
clubs
can
do.
probably just, if we're gonna have the clubs do a simplified one moving forward, we'll probably just have everybody do that one at the same time.
We may, there may be information, is what I'm trying to get at, that was gathered in the original survey that won't be part of
Yeah.
The next,
regular
Well, I think-
ongoing.
and
More
But moving
simplified.
forward, like if a new club were to enter, we wouldn't have everybody do this regular
Right.
survey. So I think
No, because it's
Whatever
already
information
gathered
we
with
need
the
from them.
criteria.
right.
Right.
so when
I
I,
see what you're saying.
Yeah,
They didn't go
you
through
see-
the criteria.
So if someone, maybe if some way we can just
so
have the
we
new
can have a
clubs
new starting
do
point
the-
from this point.
give us
Gotcha.
information from what we previously gathered from the other
Gotcha.
clubs.
Yeah.
And then going forward, everybody is using the same, more pared down.
Because they go through the
simplified
criteria
survey.
and then the
Yeah.
survey down the
Yeah.
road. Okay,
We just
gotcha.
need the criteria.
And
Yeah,
we're
sure.
trying to simplify it so people aren't overwhelmed and feel like they have to write everything else, so that was one
Yeah.
of the things. That
Yeah.
Yeah, they were a little irritated.
So should we set a task meeting to, come up with that pared down, simplified?
Probably.
survey?
Yeah.
Okay, when should we do that?
It's gonna be
I got chips on next Wednesday.
Wait, is that for this or is that for yours?
No, it's for the
Club affair.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the public fair.
Yeah.
Is this before the club affair that you're doing the survey, or are you meeting? There is
Separate committee,
Separate.
separate but related.
But
I guess.
related.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on club stuff.
So do we want to look in next week or do we want to look in the following week?
I can't do it, well, I'm going to Ireland, so.
Oh, you brat.
So,
That's
if we do it the first part of next week, I can do it, but,
Jay, do you leave?
I leave on the 23rd.
You're here Wednesday?
I'll be here Wednesday.
Okay.
I'm coming for Wednesday. I got you in.
Okay.
So, but I can't do it after that, so.
So you're talking about next Wednesday at 15, is that what you're?
Yes.
For yours, okay.
For yours.
So actually I can do it until, so the 22nd,
No.
forward,
Yeah, no.
backwards, or whichever
Right.
you wanna say, I can do it, but that's gonna be tricky. So I could do, I could do the 16th, or,
House is open on the 16th.
you can, or what works for you, Karen?
That can work. Does the 16th work for anyone interested in doing that?
Are you having it in the morning or afternoon?
We can, flexible.
What day?
So I have a meeting in the
That's Thursday.
I can
Is the
start-
16th.
And it's
Here,
all
it
on
can
Thursday
start as
mornings.
early as 11.
Well, golf is.
Alright.
Yeah.
So-
Bible study.
So what would work, I could do, let's see, what's this? I could do the 17th, or, the 20th. Something else.
17th is open at the house, 20th is not. We're doing a
Okay.
style shoot that day. But
Forget it.
17th is
17th works for
open.
me.
Okay, well, then let's
You wanna
go.
do
pretty
17th?
much any time.
Yes. What time, is morning or afternoon better?
We're looking at 17 right now?
I'm good
Friday.
either time.
Okay. How about we do the 10 a.m. kind of time frame on
Works
Friday
for
the
me.
17th?
Okay.
Okay.
I'm just gonna wait to your invite. They'll come
Yeah, I'll
out
send
like
it today. Yeah, I'll send it
Thank you.
after this. Sure.
Beautiful, so then I'm not doubling up going, wait a minute.
Okay.
Here at the house.
Yes.
Oh, really clear.
Yeah, right. Yes, it's here. How
Here.
long do you want me to set aside for that?
I think just an hour.
Okay.
Yeah. It
Okay.
really,
If we take more than
This-
that,
I
boy,
think it would be pretty
17, 10 a.m.
easy.
Perfect.
Okay. Moving right along, another opportunity for a meeting. Callahan House Membership Program.
Well, we did have the past meeting on April 24th,
Yes.
and so, which we made great progress, and you can see on page 6 of our packet here, the results of our progress from that meeting. Just want to check with everyone and see if there's any feedback or, about what you see.
I really like that we set it on patrons.
Yes,
It
right?
just
Isn't
Has
it
the
beautiful?
right ring to it.
Mhm.
I'm really happy with what I thought it worked.
I have to, behind my bronze and
Oh.
in my tears. I noticed that after
Oh,
the
yeah?
fact and I went, here, okay. So that's bronze with an E.
Mhm.
But other than that, the tier levels, how are you feeling about the value levels that we've kind
Does anybody object to
of
this?
I think they're great. It gives everybody an opportunity. I mean, you can donate as little as $50 or $100, or as much as 1,000 and more. I mean,
Yeah.
depends on where.
I think
Yeah.
that's the whole thing, is we wanted to make everybody
It's
feel
so
like
inclusive.
that they can say, okay, I know I can only budget this,
Right.
but they still feel good about
Right. They still feel included.
it. And what about the calendar?
It's a January through December, so that it's updated every year. We've taken up what's what's happened over the course of this year, for example, and then, again, and we can even do monthly, add them up and put them on put them in a frame in front of the house, and even online if we wanted. But then at the close of the year, then we can do, the 2024 patrons of the Callahan House with the full complete list.
Right. Because that list will change.
And it will change from year to year.
But we didn't want to make it overwhelming to upkeep.
Right.
That was the big key.
Didn't we talk about where it would be, that it might be displayed somewhere?
Yes, and that gets down to, on the donor list recognition under the benefits,
okay,
where
great.
we're posted.
Board
So
at the
like
front.
online on the city's website page for the Callahan House, in the Callahan House in the glass covered frame near the front door. And
Nice.
then, in the city, the Civic Center, where the Callahan House Advisory Board monthly agenda is
Oh, nice.
posted.
And that's what,
Which
yeah.
is an
I was
excellent
thinking-
idea that Maureen thought up. She's like,
I-
hey, why don't we put it where our agenda is posted?
so people can see.
Yeah.
And
There's room
that's-
there for that.
That's exactly what it's there for.
Oh, okay.
So let's use it.
Yeah.
And is this gonna pertain then also to like, community partnerships? Like, for example, for the art and sips that we're doing this summer, the St. Vrain Cidery is like offering us discounted product, or if we get donations for an event or something like that, this would be, they would put a monetary value on whatever they're donating and then be at this level of donorship. So
Oh,
donation,
yes.
partnership, and
Yes,
private
yeah.
donors.
Yes, that's what
Yes.
we were thinking. And then in addition to that, so if we're dealing with somebody like the cidery or somebody like that that has a logo, that's something we didn't discuss. Would we put their logos on our?
Yeah, I think we have one for like private donors and one for community partnerships, because we can use their logo, and that, because that's something that you kind of trade in value, is like marketing on your behalf and letting the public know that you're a donor, or that you sponsored, more of a sponsorship.
It's a way that we can get more funds, to be honest.
Yeah. But I think it
Would that
could
be
be the
more of an
same
online
thing.
acknowledgement? I mean, in
I
other
think
words.
it'd be the same thing. There would just be like big two sections on the list, but
Right.
same tiers, right?
Mm-hmm.
For private donors and for
Oh, yeah.
community
everybody's
sponsors.
the same.
Yeah.
Right.
But then the logos maybe on the bottom for the community sponsors. So
That's
same thing, but just,
Just listed on the bottom so
Yeah.
they can see the logos. And
Yeah.
we have a partnership going. I think that's a great idea, but it wasn't, we didn't discuss that.
No, but it's a great idea, yes.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, that's very easy to just incorporate that element into it, so.
Wonderful.
And then those benefits are, along with the recognition, the newsletter access, the Callahan House constant contact, and then an annual patrons only event. Keeping it kind of simple. We have to keep in mind that this is a donor program, not a membership program, and so they're not receiving something in return. So these benefits are, yes, recognition, yes, you get information, and you get invited to a patrons only event. And it would be something very nice to acknowledge all the donors to be able to come and be
You can
together.
all meet each other.
But it's not providing them any kind of serious value or benefit back.
Right.
It's more of a acknowledgement.
That's a good point. Thank you.
So, and then we just, with respect to outreach and advertising strategy, these are the four that are listed, the fourth one being the most, we added the designated communication dates as being the fourth one. So we have the constant contact, other appropriate city resources, and Brittany, we're gonna kind of lean on you all to find out what would be the best approach there. But in-house posting, of course, is easy here in the house. And with the designated communication dates, that's a January letter that would be here's our program, this is the donor program, and this is what it's for. And then in October, send out a reminder letter, because the timing of that is good. It's starting to wrap up the year and really catch people as they are finishing up their year-end finances and budgeting and determining who they need to donate to. And then at all December open house events, which definitely catches everybody, not just anyone who's been on the donor list or who we've had contact with, but anyone who comes in the house in December.
And that would be just what is there all the time that's set up the list in the front, or how would you be advertising it, or promoting during the
when they
events?
come in and enter, and by the way, you can sign up for emails, or we also have the opportunity
Okay,
that
so-
you can join us, so whoever's the greeter should then say, I'm gonna point out this is our donors that are here, and you're our patrons right here, and you're welcome to sign up and be one of the patrons, by the way, and, you know, so.
Yeah, you might catch people.
You know what, I'm just wondering if it would be better if that were done after they've walked around a little instead of the minute they walk in the door.
Yeah.
Hitting them up.
As they're leaving,
Yeah.
I do think that that's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's so hard though, because everybody leaves a different way.
We just may have to have two people. We may have to have a greeter, and then we may have to have a departure, kind of
Or you do it
person.
upstairs.
And
Yeah,
to say,
do it upstairs.
The nice thing about downstairs though is they'll be able to see the list.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
So
I
we can
think
set up
it's-
a station for it
And-
upstairs though.
Yeah, but I
And
think
we'll hear
it's
the
doable.
dining room. Yeah.
I don't see it as any different than when we put our little box out there that people shove money in. I don't see that as any different. I understand you don't wanna overwhelm people, but, you know, and if you want more information, don't hesitate to ask me any questions, or one of the other members that. would
Well, a
be
lot of
glad
people
to answer.
wouldn't know much, maybe, that they haven't been here before, so they wouldn't know whether they'd be interested until they've gone through. And then maybe, if there isn't somebody to catch them on the way out, they'll forget to, stop with the person, the greeter.
I could do right upstairs, and set up a station for it. Or it's part of the handout, or, you know.
Yeah,
it could be
we
in
could put
various.
handouts.
That's what I was
2 or
thinking,
3
is
different
a
places.
handout, with the handout, and then, I don't know.
Want to be a patron of the Callahan House, little signage
I like
there,
that.
here on the table or
I,
something.
and,
Yeah, that would be
I
good.
understand what you're saying, Cindy. It's not like I'm trying to. It's just when you go to any other museum, any other house, any art museum, anything, they always have their patron thing first thing as you go.
Yeah. Well,
And
listening
that's-
is good.
I think the
Yeah.
listing's good, but also drawing attention to it. And then if it's in the flyer information, as here's, by the way, here's the information of the house, and included with that is, would you want to be a patron? I don't, and then we're not trying to catch them on the back.
Yeah, I think we can flesh that out. Everybody think about that a little
Yeah.
bit.
Mhm.
And we don't make the decision today is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But let's think about that and figure out in our own minds
What feels comfortable
most comfortable, most.
and what everybody
effective.
agrees
I
with.
think we
And
want
it
to
still
have
has
this.
an impact.
Right.
Should we
Yeah.
set a follow-up task meeting to come to with anything that we can flesh out and then be more complete and be able to be prepared?
Just
more
present it
for-
to the board and just move forward.
Be more prepared for essentially being able to roll it out in July.
Yeah, I think we-
Because we're really
yeah,
pushing
Open
it.
house.
July open house, or at least, I know we wanted it for club affair, we get a ton of people here for art walk. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll want it.
So-
And it's pretty much ready to
So there's
go.
some action items that you can do right now.
Yeah,
Can we-
I mean, yeah, it's pretty ready.
Yeah.
And constant contact would be a good place to send something out too
Yeah, new,
about
yeah,
patrons.
new program, yeah.
New program, yeah.
Do we want to come up with language now, or do you want to piggyback off of the club survey task meeting at the end of the hour or less of that, and then come up with language then?
Let's piggyback and get it so we can move forward with this.
Let's
I
do
think
that.
so, yeah,
Let's do that.
I think so. All right, so we'll just, right after the 10
That's my
a.m.
suggestion.
We'll do some
Okay.
fleshing out of language.
That's on the 17th?
Yes.
Okay, so do we want to set aside like
Let's do it.
an hour and a half, 2 hours for that total?
Yeah, I
Time
think if
has
you
so much
set,
time.
if you set
Yeah.
2 hours total,
We're gonna
things
be on with
off,
that.
but if
Okay,
you
so
set 2
club
hours.
survey and the donor program.
Yes.
Got it. Ready.
Okay, moving right along. Anything else on club serve on the membership program or the patron program? Auto house revamp then is our next item.
There's a page here in the packet that's a little overwhelming, but I just went
It's a
ahead,
little on that.
yeah, I just went ahead and copied in an email from Kevin because I
No,
thought
I think that's great.
part of it
Yeah.
had a lot of information, and so I just
Yes.
threw it all in there. So, and it just, kind of he called it a napkin drawing here of the idea for the storage unit. So where we're at right now is needing storage for the tables and chairs that we have in-house now, which we're very excited about, and options being either building a new storage unit in the auto house and kind of, as part of the revamp of that space, or potentially using the garden shed, which would require, a little bit of augmentation to that, and then potentially a paved pathway so that the dollies can get through that area, or something that can be laid out as needed to get to that space. So I think we kind of want some feedback about if people are interested in the auto house or interested in the garden shed.
Okay.
I have a couple of thoughts and ideas, if I may. First off, the size of this in the auto house, I don't like. I think that the auto house is better used as a storage structure rather than a storage facility. So I think we need to scrap the idea of using the auto house to have storage inside of it. We need to be able to access it and use it.
Which is the purpose, because right now there's storage in it regardless.
Right,
the storage
right.
units that are in there are really not used for anything that needs to be in there. They're really not functional for our purposes.
Right.
So the idea of this is to make it a functional space, but when the space is in use for rentals or whatever it may be, it doesn't feel like a storage space because it's,
It
you know,
looks nice.
yeah,
and
we're
it
not
doesn't
just
take
like
up that much
hiding
space.
to tables and chairs behind some screens, and you can obviously see that they're there.
Right.
The other thing I want to mention is that all of the new items will not fit in the garden shed the way that it is.
Right.
So,
I was thinking that too, and so my next thought is this. Rather than, I don't even know what's in the garden shed or how much space that would actually.
I mean, if we were to use that, it'd take up the whole space.
Mhm.
So,
And I think it might be wise, and since we're needing the ability to access and roll things in and out, is consider the pad of concrete that's right back there,
Mhm.
just against the fence in the corner,
yeah.
right behind the fence that kind of covers to where the garden is. Build a new structure there and make it look nice, but that can be an official storage structure that will provide the
Yeah,
space
I have
that you
thought about that
need.
option. I think,
And in and out, easy roll on that concrete that's already there.
yeah, I don't know how easy that is to get an additional structure built or how accepted that might be.
Well,
to
it
this
would
thing,
be
but
bet-
it is an option.
It would be
It's a
better.
potential option.
It would be better than having it up against the historic structure.
I'm.
That's
Over here behind the garden shed.
Because as it is, I don't know when the shed was placed there, but it does block the ability to care for
The
brick
structure.
and the structure of that.
and that was
house
something
itself.
that we brought up.
And so, rather than continue with that isn't going to fit everything in it anyway, build a structure on the concrete pad that's already existing that can support the size and weight and rolling things in and out of it. And it's even more convenient. And then that way you're not having to build another structure over there, maybe put pour concrete in there, or put a temporary rolling, mat that you can take out and put out when you need to roll something in and out. It's like when you give a mouse a cookie. How much more simple can we make this, rather than have one thing that creates a need for something else, and then a need to do something else, and then that potentially piles into this bigger kind of mess, for lack of a better word. Why don't we simplify it? Keep it to what we know is there. The pad is there. There is no parking back there. There is no cars or anything. There's no need for anything there. it's already concrete, it's solid, it's stable, it's
Yeah,
Depends
so it's
what kind of
certainly,
shelter you're talking or what kind of
and
storage.
you
yeah.
can build something
Yeah,
that
yeah,
can
bigger
look
project.
complementary.
yeah,
Obviously, it is completely, a storage shed is not historic, but it can complement,
yeah.
but
Well, I think it's something
So
we can
it's a price
run
issue, isn't
through
it?
possibility. Well, and
That's
you know,
gonna be a lot
this
more
is not
expensive. This is not expensive.
inexpensive. I guess I failed to include the quote here, but it was not inexpensive.
Yeah.
But compared
So-
to building something, it's,
but then
But
we
then you
Honestly,
don't
I'm
have
not
to
sure.
add
It could
concrete
be-
anywhere,
Yeah.
build
Yeah.
on.
Well, I think
Right.
it's something, you know, we're tossing around all the different options.
Mhm.
So I think that's something we could see if, I don't know, in terms of if there are like restrictions with adding structures
Yeah, I don't know.
within the city, so we could talk to Ben when he gets back, but yeah, I mean, basically, like, you know, here's this quote, we requested a quote for paving and augmenting of the garden shed, and then we could see what this looks like also and just compare all of the options.
right.
The other option is keep the auto house as is and hide a bunch of tables and chairs behind the screens and
No, that's not.
the
I
existing
know
storage
that.
unit that's in there is not, you know, it's not original,
no.
it's not functional.
No.
So that was the other thing, is kind of replace something that's
Not
not
functional.
aesthetic or original or functional with something that is, that would match the cabinetry that's in the kitchenette,
Right.
that is thought to be original or at least period appropriate, with something that looks
Well,
Yeah,
let's
but you're
keep our
talking about
options
accurate.
open
Yeah,
and see what we can come up with. I think this is a good idea for concrete wise, and also simplifying. I think if we put it on the concrete, you don't have to put pads out or anything when you're rolling in and out. You can roll things in and out pretty efficiently there, unless you're planning on using that concrete pad for something else during the functions, which I can't.
it's never
I
used for
can't-
anything else.
catering uses it some, but they would still have enough space, I mean, for their purposes.
So this is one of those things that this might be the long-term fix of doing that without additional expenditure in the house, in the auto house.
Or use of the space, that's a significant change. You're going from like a foot and a half to 6 feet. That's significant. That's too much space in historic structure. I think that space and that building is better used for clubs, events,
Yeah.
touring.
And that's the purpose, is that
And
when
I
it's
would-
used for those things, it doesn't look like it's
Yeah,
just
it's
detract.
we're trying to throw tarps over.
Right.
And now I recognize that we have to do something different.
It's
I
so charming
completely
up there, I mean, and it really does
Storage is
tell a
needed.
story about
Yeah.
the chauffeur and his life in this separate room and what
Yeah.
it was like.
Well, if anybody's available after this, it would be nice to go out and just kind of visualize
It would
and
be.
see the tables and chairs now, how much space they're taking up and
They-
what it would
they-
Yes.
look like, how it would help benefit that space, but it's not the only option.
Right.
I personally am not completely against this. I just want to flesh out this other option.
Yeah,
And
there's
see what other
there's
choice we have.
Yeah, I'm on
other
the same
options.
page.
Yeah.
I think finding, knowing how much space we need to store whatever we're storing,
Yeah, to visualize
And
it,
then-
I think is helpful.
and then deciding from there, but yeah.
So I've got a question. So if this were, would this house absolutely everything you need? If we did
Yes,
this?
and the existing tables and chairs that are there, and
So it would house
it'd be very
absolutely
accessible.
and we wouldn't have to put anything into the shed.
Correct.
What's stored in the shed now?
Parks, garden items, and I checked with them and they don't need as much space as is in there. A lot of it is like over winter seasonal stuff that can go in the basement of the auto house, and they would just need a little bit of space for, you know, a few things that they're using during the season. So,
Keeping that structure there is a necessity, the current shed.
It sounds like it's not.
keeping it as
Sounds like
opposed
it's
to, I'm not sure what you mean, I'm sorry.
It sounds like the shed is not necessary.
How necessary is the shed? Because personally I can't stand it.
I mean,
Let's be
I don't
honest.
think they would remove it and then build another structure for this additional storage.
Okay.
Is that what you mean?
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't
That's
think
what
that
I'm
would
asking.
make any sense to remove it and then build more storage. If anything, we would augment it to be this storage.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Could it be moved
Yeah.
to, well,
Could we,
could it then be
shifted
moved?
to the
I
current?
mean, here's the thing,
That
Parks does
being
use it, But they could potentially shift to use the basement of the outhouse instead. But they do need some storage in there, which
Well,
would
but
be difficult
the
as much
question
as
is-
the tables and chairs is and what they need, but not impossible.
I hear what you're saying. What I'm saying is, is there any way that we can move it away from the historic structure? From where it's sitting?
Yeah, can it be moved? Can it be moved?
Put on the
If-
concrete.
If all of the tables and chairs do not fit in the shed, okay, fine, but can the shed,
Be
Do
moved.
you think that's a separate,
can it be removed, or
I
can it
don't
be,
know why,
can it be moved or built onto to be the bigger space that you would need for
That's-
tables and chairs
That's where you need to
out on
go.
the concrete pad?
maybe, I don't know,
That's
what
an
we're
option.
asking.
It's a possible option.
sure.
Okay.
I mean, it's
Worth looking
looked
at.
into, because, yeah, there's a lot of possible
I'm
options here,
hearing
so
what
it's
she's
like,
saying, and that's, am I correct? And that's what you're saying? You want it away from the historic structure? I
We
prefer
can-
to.
we-
And then it eliminates that space back there for the homeless people
Does
to
a
be
lot.
hiding
Yes.
into.
It takes care of
Maybe.
on its
so
own.
they're back there regardless, which is another issue that we're being worked, it's being worked on, but anyhow. Well, that's another possibility to
issue.
look into.
Sorry.
No,
I
it's
think
okay.
I think what I'm saying is I like the best idea I think is that take that shed and move it over onto the concrete pad. Augment it, add onto it whatever you need to,
Alter it
alter it however you need to. But it's on the concrete pad there in that corner behind the fence and
It's no longer up against
no longer up against the
carriage house.
Carriage house, yeah.
Okay, well, that's.
And it
that's
serves a
a
purpose,
possibility.
and it actually serves a purpose of truly storing things that need to be stored, the tables and chairs.
And if there's, depending on how you alter it, it could be used as the garden shed. A storage shed.
It can be moved. I mean, you can put it on pipes and roll it over and shift it off. It can be moved. It's not a huge.
Well, it's worth looking into.
Sure.
Just what you need, something else on your plate.
Well, I mean, we wanna look at all the options before
Yeah,
we
we
move
really
forward
do.
with any
Absolutely.
thing, so,
I
yeah.
do feel that Auto House is
But
better.
in truth, moving a shed is really not overly difficult. I know it seems like it is, but I've done it.
I like that idea best. That's sure, yes.
Okay, let's go on to item G, the UV protection in the library and the drapes.
Yes, so I met with
Oh, yes.
Leslie, and she was very helpful in showing what it would look like if we pared the material down. And then we both were looking at it, and she said, here's the thought. She said, you could just go ahead and remove the drapes. Go ahead and take them down, neatly fold them up and store them, and see how it looks just without them for the summer, and see what you all think then. Because if you get them down and you realize this is fabulous without anything, let's just go with that, then that might be your decision. She said, or if you get them down and you're like, we need a little something there, then we can go ahead and bring the drapes back out and we can modify them then, and we can make it so that it's more showing of the windows.
Personally
But
love
still
that it's
has-
really showing the windows themselves. The woodwork is beautiful.
Those are
And
the
it
specific
opens up
ones.
the space and it feels like it brings the gardens right in.
Oh yeah, all of these are fantastic. What we're specifically talking
Is
about
that
is the
right?
library.
Right.
And that's.
I will have to walk in there and take a peek.
So I think her suggestion is a good one, that we could take the drapes down for the summer.
And
Keep
see how that
See
goes.
how it looks without
like that
anything
idea.
on them. And
Well, the lace is
only
coming back
concern-
today, so we can just take those off and just put that back on for now, and you can see it next time you're in.
And then I think the
Good
only
idea.
other concern is that UV protection
Yeah.
is not going to happen until September, and
Well-
that's because.
Well, so where we're at with it right now is the company that's gonna actually be doing the film is looking into whether they can remove the storms and get that done, or at least most of them. Because originally we wanted Empire, who created the storms, to remove them for Scottish to be able to put the UV on, but they can't do it until October. So we're looking at having the company that's doing the film remove them sooner, or at least do most of them, which they feel confident that they can do.
company is that?
Scottish Glass.
Spanish food.
So I think we might try to move forward with that. They're augmenting their quote to see what it looks like for that additional work. And I also requested a quote from Empire to see how much they would charge us to do it, so we'll compare it that way.
Okay.
So
Good.
we're seeing about trying to get it done sooner, but if not, at least it should be in October. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the curtains, I don't know if everybody heard, the curtains are just being cleaned right now, which is why they're all.
Oh, nice.
I just think it looks great
Mhm.
without it. I'm
Yeah.
sorry,
I
but
just walked through the library and it's like, whoa,
Yeah.
that's really cool.
Isn't it nice?
isn't it beautiful? And it brings the gardens
I'm
right
a
in.
fan of drapes.
It really makes it the Callahan House and garden.
Yeah.
Just pulls it in. I mean, particularly this time of year.
It is so beautiful.
So I think that's a good plan, right?
I
Is the
like
board
it.
all in agreement? Go ahead and,
Yeah.
and take the drapes down and
Do we need to
store
take a
them?
vote? Or
We
just
just
agree?
store them and just.
When was the Empire thing?
I'll make
October.
a motion that's what we do, as what was suggested by Karen and Leslie, that we take the drapes down for now.
And see how it
And
looks
see
in the
how it
summer
looks.
and
And
reassess
reassess at a
in
later
the
time.
fall.
That's good.
Okay, can I second that?
Yes, you can.
Can I?
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody against it? No. Okay. Let's carry on. The next item is future restoration and preservation. Oh, Maureen, sorry.
I'm moving.
Maureen moved. The next item is future restoration and preservation.
I didn't know if that still needed to
I
be
don't
on
know,
here for
right.
now. I think
Can we
just
put
a
that
follow up.
Can we put that into future?
Future?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Because I do think that it is
Right.
something that we need
Need
to
to follow up
be
on,
looking
but
Stay
at.
on top of
Yeah.
Because we need to identify. Wow.
If we are doing it now,
Yeah.
somebody
Yeah.
already
Work.
We need to identify what needs to be,
Yeah.
taken
And
care
the
of.
list is updated, which everybody has. The follow-up also is that for CIP, again, they turned in for the repointing again,
Right.
so we'll see. And that's the only thing, hoping that that means, you know, that it might get approved.
And just for clarification, CIP is really more of a 5-year, isn't
Yeah,
that the
capital
5-year
improvement
one?
projects, the
The minutes
5-year.
that are a little off, that
Yeah.
might need to be
But if-
fixed, but the other one is the annual, one that's in the budget, right? That is, put in for this,
They're-
if you have to use it for something else that's acceptable. as long
Yes,
as you're-
they're both that. So
Yeah,
there's the
documents.
capital improvement projects, which is where we're putting it, which is a larger ticket items, right? So that's where we're putting in the repointing again. Hopefully
Right.
that will get approved.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if it
And
doesn't, that it shows that we've asked several times and we can go for.
Yeah, eventually, hopefully, you know,
Right.
that's the
That's the
idea.
point.
And then the other one is the public building fund,
Yeah.
the PB 145, which is those are large but smaller than the CIP kind of ticket items, and that is all still on a 5-year basis, but like, let's say we allocate, you know, in 2024, we wanted to use PB 145 for such and such, but we ended up using it for this other thing, and that money does roll over from year to year.
Okay.
But it has to be used for specific things that enhance the public use of the facility. Such, for example, this year, like the tables and chairs is one of those things that we're allocating to PB 145, the piano, things like that. So yeah, generally not a problem, but
So
office
let's-
supplies would not.
That doesn't
No.
really fit in that yet.
Yeah.
145, is that the public
PB
building?
145, yeah, is the public building fund. PBF 145.
And so we can put
So,
for the
so
next,
those are
next month's.
already
agenda.
in place for, you know, the one that needed to be turned in this year for 2029, I guess.
Exactly.
But just identifying in general things that need to be done, which we have done over the past few months and are all on that list.
Right.
I guess it's maybe thinking about like what are their priorities, what do we want to be thinking about doing in 2024, 2025.
Right.
So if anybody has ideas on that, I guess we can just keep that on future agenda items and
That's right, that's.
I'll
So we're
update you
agenda
as
items.
things are being worked on, or if there's things that you have, you know, that you feel like you wanna prioritize, then let me know.
Okay,
So,
that's good.
Okay.
Okay, on to the next item, which is the past and present board fall tea. We're gonna have a meeting right after this meeting, correct?
yes.
Is there anything else anybody wants to,
It will be short and sweet,
okay?
talking about the food, talking about the language update on the invitation. But,
Right.
it will be really concise.
Yeah. I would like to, I guess, revisit a little bit like last year. It was kind of a scramble. And we ended up just purchasing food from Shemaine's. So
That was rather pricey, was it not?
it was. And so having, I guess, a plan in place this year so that,
That's important.
yeah, just to, so whether it's, you know, we end up catering in-house or whatever that plan's going to be, but the, you know,
And I think,
Yes.
yeah, I think
yeah.
we
The
want
idea is
we
not
wanna
for
bring it
us
back down
to,
to simple and
Yeah.
not be an elaborate, expensive thing.
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And the idea is
that's
not to like
always-
have a major cost for that event.
Right,
So,
that's always been,
yeah. And for the board, ideally to manage that if you all could, with whatever help I can provide.
I think one of the things that was a concern is we had always wanted to donate and, or mention that we could bring in items that we personally made, and that was
Yes.
shut down. So,
But we found new information about our food license, and that is something that we can do.
okay,
So if
That
that
makes
is,
a huge
that's why I want to
difference.
clarify.
yes,
Yeah.
which we found out, you know,
Great.
last year at that time, but yeah, so you could make food and bring it in if you
Thank
need
you.
to.
that's very.
And that will make huge differences because I can,
What was it
I
that,
can cook up a storm and I
made it presentable?
That we just got clarification on the way that our food license works, and so from Boulder County Public Health. So yes, that is a possibility if that's something that you all want to do, which I think would be great.
Yes, that's, so getting back to that.
Yes.
Wonderful, thank you so much for
Yeah,
that. I
thank
just wanted
you.
to clarify it during the meeting now, so
Yeah.
when we discuss it right after this,
Yeah.
we'll be moving along.
And then Rachel's here, so if we're done with the fall tea for now,
We
Rachel,
are.
if you want
We
to
are.
join us, please, and then we can skip to branding.
Hello.
Hi, thank you for being here.
So, I have some visual leads of stuff. You guys can visualize some branding. I don't have one for everybody.
That's okay, and there's some other share.
Yeah, we have some
We have some
in the
of the original brand guides in the packets, that's all.
Yeah.
The brand guides in the package, this is what it could look like implemented in materials
Yes.
for you guys. So yeah, hi everybody.
Hello.
My name's Rachel, I'm the brand manager for the city of Longmont. I have a presentation, but maybe we can just talk through it like the old days and my history.
Yeah, in the old days.
And a little bit about, I mean, I gave some information about like what this process has looked like, but basically, you know, Rachel and I identified that we would like for Callahan to have its own brand since it's such an original facility within the city. And then Rachel had to go through the process of getting that approved by the city manager to move forward with a separate brand, which is a really exciting thing. And yeah, and then basically, and like I mentioned, I saw the branding for the first time when you all saw it, and shared it with you. So now it's being worked on, it's in the process, but this is an opportunity to provide feedback to Rachel for what she's doing.
So this is the brand. You guys have the brand guide that I've created. I'll talk a little bit about what you have to go through to get a brand exception for the city of Longmont. I have some examples of what the city branding is. And so basically how this started is that I am celebrating with my wedding reception on May 26th here.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And when I first, before Brittany got here, started talking to folks at the Callahan House, I received materials that were hand-drawn and a little not exactly what we would want it to be. And I'm a graphic designer, so I could not help myself.
Great excuse.
I was like, okay, well, this is not going to do it for me. And then this is the city branding, and so it has that bright orange color, and was designed to reflect the demographics of our community and not necessarily reflect the historicity of a historic home in Longmont. So this brand doesn't feel right. I think we can all agree with that this doesn't feel like a Callahan House brand. So then it was a fun little challenge for me, because how do we take this very modern organic brand,
Which most people don't like.
which most people don't like,
I love it.
And to be honest, most people do not like it.
yeah.
Oh, I like
Like,
it
if-
so much
if-
better than the old one.
They
Well,
go back
that's
to
the
old
reference
one.
point, right?
So
If
much
it's
better than the old
the old one. It's better than the old one, but a lot of folks, it's blue and orange. It's a choice that we made before I got here, by the way.
And I apologize because I overspoke, but most people that have lived here for forever
I know.
don't like it. I have
Everybody
heard
I've
That's
talked
so
to.
funny.
nonstop that it's so blah,
Yeah.
and
I think it's so
it's not historically accurate, and they like the old seal better.
Well,
Yeah, I think I've heard that a lot throughout my job here. We can't go back. We paid lots of money to get this, so we're making it work. And how that happens, really.
Well, I'm curious. How did that happen? Because did they get a lot of community import? Because I don't.
Oh, yeah.
Because
That was a big
it was
deal.
several years ago, but I have heard nonstop complaints about it.
It's 29, so it was implemented in 2019, and there was that was like my first 2 months on the job, was reading through all the documents and like how they got to this point. So basically they made the brand, and then we're like, wow, this is a full-time job for somebody to like steward this. And then they hired me. And so I like learned how they got here. I went through all the focus groups line by line, figured out how they got the imagery for like the valleys and the mountains and the rivers and all that kind of stuff. And so then my job is basically just making it work for us. And so there's
Thank you for doing that.
there's a huge process to get an exception from the brand, because the number one thing with branding is consistency. So if we're giving every department and everybody who wants one a different logo, then it kind of defeats the purpose of the brand.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we only had 2 until the Callahan House. What does this say? I wrote this. Okay, so there's only next light in the museum before Callahan House conversation started. And so in order to do that, I am the steward of the brand. I make sure that everything is implemented properly. The city manager is the final person to say yay or nay.
So it doesn't even go through city council?
Nope.
It's totally directed by the city manager?
And Rachel had to put together, an idea for the brand
Right.
in order to take it to Harold and get that approval. So that's the process.
So what you have to do is you have to kind of prove that you need a different brand, which we did for Callahan House because we already have weddings here. The home is historic. Our branding doesn't match the city. And so we proved that to him, and then the second step is he needs some examples before he can give a thumbs up or a thumbs down. He can't just be like, do whatever you want.
Right.
So
Crayons on, have fun.
yeah. So this is what I came up with, and you'll see where we are in the process later that this is not final. So if you guys have revisions that I can make, and so some I can't make. So if it's not ADA compliant, there's some rules around contrast, colors, fonts that I can't change because that's the law. And then also it has to stay within the brand family. So I'll show. And,
Thanks.
So that's where we are. So I did the research and I put all the stuff together and be like, this is what wedding venues do, and this what we're doing right now is not good. And so the other component of my job is that the materials that we were using, not the ones that you created, although also the ones that you created,
That's great.
we're not
They're not ADA.
they're not ADA compliant, and they're not branded, and so therefore it would have been my job to be like, no, you need to use city branding. And I said, I don't like that, so I did this. So,
But coming from what we had, which was hand drawn and a mishmash
Yeah,
of information,
and
so
even the
I
little packets that was given wasn't
intermediary
a client,
and
and
something better until we could get Rachel to do this great stuff. So.
wow, this is where that looks.
I'm happy to support you with this.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm impressed because I'd have been flipped through all over the place at
I
this
forgot
point.
the museum does have.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
museum was the newest one, and they went through a very extensive process of trying to prove why they needed a new logo. They were denied at first, and then yes, and they were also
Totally taken back by that.
yeah, and they kind of just asked and didn't put the oomph behind it that they needed to. And he was like, well, if you're just going to ask, no. And then they went through the whole research process that they should have gone through. And then they came up with this. And so you can see that this is the city branding, next light, the museum, and what I'm proposing for Callahan
I'm
House.
wondering if you want
Yeah,
to
I can see it.
yeah, Karen can see though.
That's
We're
this is good.
Okay,
This is
okay.
good.
I can
Thank
see it.
you.
Okay,
thank
you.
Thank you.
And so a part of a brand family means that they have to have some visual link, that you have to be able to tell that they belong to one another. In this case, it's the color palette and the fonts. They're all the same fonts, and so they have different thicknesses, but getting all designy, the stroke and the curvature and the kerning is all the same. So there's that visual consistency that goes around. They highlight different parts of our brand palette. So like the city is using the dark blues and the oranges. The museum's also using dark blues, but they have the green out front. Next light has that teal color I don't like. And then, so for Callahan House, we'll just keep it with the blues on the logo, but then there is this pink color that I've also included. That's kind of like a persimmon.
And they had it in the palette packet,
Yeah.
which I thought was great.
Yeah, which, I mean,
Yeah, we're seeing it.
I requested a pinkish something.
yeah, something that wasn't as harsh. And and then I also included the cream. The cream is not in our brand palette for the city of Longmont, but I figured
No,
we would need a softer.
for weddings,
Yeah.
it's a necessity.
So these kind of have to look like they belong together, and that's what the city manager is looking for when he wants to approve different things. He wants to make sure that we are not completely removing the city from this organization, and I think it's more obvious with things like the museum and Nextlight. If city taxpayer dollars are going towards something, it should be obvious that it's a part of the city, and like no question about it there for transparency. So
Rachel came and hand drew the gates and then turned them into what is there.
So
that's
the-
accurate to
this is the
up
gates.
front.
It's
So
not
it's incredible.
a stock
Wow.
gate. These are the Callahan gates.
Yeah.
So
Which
Cool.
gates, the
The-
front?
The front.
this west gate over here, where there's the French
Yeah.
Yeah.
style
So
ones.
I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. So
Very cool.
my God bless my husband. He just walks around with me, and I'm like, I'm gonna draw this fence. And he's like, okay, cool.
I'll get coffee.
So then we start with okay, we need a new brand. It has to match the city branding. What else does it need? It needs to be ADA compliant, which means the contrast works, and folks with most types of sight impairments can read it. So we're not talking about blindness, obviously, because that's not what we're. But folks who are colorblind and all kinds of stuff, cataracts, will still be able to see this level of contrast. It needs to be clear and concise for equity purposes. We don't want crazy fancy taglines that are going to be hard to translate into another language, or it doesn't come across in the same tone or voice in a different language. So clear, concise language. We need alignment with the city brand I talked about, and a complement to these other logos, which was a challenge because we're taking a Victorian house and trying to put it in a modern brand family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is yeah.
Yeah. So,
Seemed possible.
She did it.
and so this is what we came up with. And so I've been calling these the wallpapers, these like intricate designs that we use in backgrounds essentially, or to fill space, kind of like you can see At the beginning of the brand, we have our palette. We have the logo with the gates, and we can also use the logo, this is the linear version it's called, without the gates.
Mhm.
Okay.
So you can have Callahan House if you want to have it on a letterhead or something and you don't want it like chunky the way it is. And we also have different elements that are not on this slide, but they are in the brand packet of like, that are a little more soft. There's teapots, there's flowers,
I saw that.
there's
Right.
elements that take it away from that modern branding, but we use delicately and not as the main elements, but they can be there to soften a very modern brand.
Would those be not necessarily near the logo, but somewhere in a communication, these
Yeah.
other elements?
Exactly. So if you're making a flyer, you know, you would have the logo at the top or at the bottom or something, and then all these other elements can kind of fill in. So what your eye is being drawn to is the softness and not. People kind of glaze over when there's logos on the bottom of things most of the time when it's just supposed to be like, this is who it's with. So if most of the stuff is soft, it appears soft. So that's what we're going with. And then, what else do I have here? Here's where we are in the process. We identified a need. I got hand-drawn things and I was like, blah, and couldn't help myself. We collected data. We went through a lot of other wedding websites and I sat down with the city manager and showed them what they looked like and that they did not look like the city branding. And also the fact that the branding couldn't stay the same because it wasn't ADA compliant and the materials were aging. So that's what happened. We produced a design and proposal. That's what you're seeing. Where am I? City manager said yes. House manager said yes. Input from advisory board. That's where we are right now. And then we do revisions if I can, if the fonts work, if the contrast is good, whatever, all that stuff. And then I have to approve again. That's easy this time. I'm doing it. So, but if you outsource that, like if you're hiring somebody over here. And then we implement so that we change all of our materials over to this new brand. And so the wedding stuff is actually almost done and all of this is easy to tweak. So this is what Brittany would send out to her clients. And they say, well, what's going on? What do I have to know? And then they have this informational stuff. And then I just stapled them on the end, but the last 2 pages are actually 2 separate flyers too. So, yeah.
Okay.
This is very impressive.
Your work on this is amazing.
Yeah.
We're very lucky.
I was just sitting here
So
thinking,
beautiful.
she could be working for the city of Denver.
I
God.
pass, but thank you.
Hard pass on that.
Thank you. I'll stay right here. And
Oh, yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
Hard pass, I like
Thank you.
let me get my notebook and then I'll write down feedback.
So these are just other people's advertisements that they can add on.
So that they can add as a
These are
package.
ours.
I love these.
Yes, so these are, we're working with a preferred DJ and a preferred photographer and offering this to our clients.
Yes.
Which is wonderful, which we had.
Yeah, it's a super cool way to make those connections within the community and then offer, that discount to our clients. It gives us more opportunity for rentals and it gives these vendors more opportunity for clients.
I guess in the past, just Brittany, which you may or may not be aware, the vendors always came and we approved which vendors were gonna work through or on the board. Is that not true? That they were put forth before the board?
Not always, but I think that you're not limiting people to just.
Oh, no, it's just
offers.
a special offer for our clients if people want to utilize this offering.
That's
Certainly not
weird
required.
too. As somebody who just went through
Yeah.
it, that folks are like, these are the ones we work with, and
Yeah.
like, so there's like
And
a
it
discount
helps.
or
It's a
something.
perk,
And-
right,
and-
to use them,
and-
but you don't have to.
And they know the system's better and therefore you're not.
Yeah. And
I have daughters that
with the
have gotten married
photographer-
and let me tell you.
Yeah.
But
It's overwhelming too. Like
and
find a
uses-
caterer,
Yeah.
like
It
so.
helps our clients make their planning easier. And with the photographer, her sort of trade for being our preferred is doing a styled shoot for us for free, which
Nice.
is huge. So to get some updated material and things like that. So it's really cool.
Personally, I want to thank you. I think so far, I love the flowers and certain things that I understand a little better about all the hoops you're jumping through. And these are so much better than the hand-drawn things that you've done. But But the Callahan House and Garden, I really like that it's the Callahan House and Garden, but it's missing the historic aspect of it. And that was something, you know, like the city of Longmont, Colorado, and then it says Callahan. Could we put historic Callahan House and Garden somewhere, historic somewhere in that? That was one of my suggestions, that branding wise, that, you know, even if it's in littler font above it, I know it makes it bigger, but, and I like the fact that of the gate, but what about, is there any way that we could incorporate the gate that you walk through, that we've used in the past, document-wise?
Well, I love what you did, and I think you did an excellent job matching what it is out there now. Something that has been used in the past, just for, well, it has not been on a city basis, like what you're working on.
It's
But
in
it's
like the
been-
material that I
Yeah,
made.
some
I know what you're
material-
talking about.
Things like that.
It includes
Yeah.
the pillar.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's even a possibility to include something like the pillar out to the
Or
sides of
is it
each.
not
I
clean
want
enough?
to see if I can find the version that I was playing around with this. I think what I came to was that it looks bad with the modern
It
design.
just doesn't go with the
It
modern.
doesn't go
It's
with the
hard to
modern.
reproduce in a lot of materials.
Yeah,
Sure. You know, something
It's
more
very
stylistic is easier to use.
Yeah.
So
What
because
I
this has a little, because this is more like three-dimensional.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's,
an
I mean,
image.
it cannot be used so easily with
And it's not as
a
clean.
two-dimensional.
It's not as plain.
Okay,
Let me.
okay. That was the only thing I was thinking. I was like, oh, the pillars.
It's
Because
the
that's
historic
significant.
aspect of it.
I don't know.
And
if
that's
even
the
possible.
only thing, otherwise, I think, I love the palette, I think it's great, I have a better understanding now that you're here and have spoken with us of how many hoops you've
What
jumped
these
through.
things, yeah.
And that this is something that has been needed for a long time, and I just love that it is so much cleaner, and when somebody comes in, they can here, this is, and it looks much more professional.
Right.
And the fact that we can, so you mentioned what other hoops, and I'm like, what, you gotta do what? That we meet all the criteria of what was that standard that you saw my face and you said?
Yeah. So there's
He's on the face.
ADA compliance. That's non-negotiable. That's the law. It has to be inside the brand family, and that is a internal thing that the city manager will not approve a brand exception if it does not exist in the brand family. And so that means that it has to keep this modern design, which is, if I was just making something up, it would look very different. But since it has to be in this brand family, this is kind of what I went with. There's clear and concise for equity. We want something to translate easily, and it just has to look good with the other ones too. So it can have the same colors and it can have the same font, but if it doesn't look right with the other,
It doesn't mesh
yeah,
and have the clean,
yeah.
okay.
So maybe I just didn't hear it, but when you were talking about the pillar, did you say there was a possibility of just simplifying that look?
It
of the
looks
pillar
funny.
Without the flowers, maybe?
It looks funny in the branding. Let me see what I can do. So I'm going to suggest that we keep the logo just the gates for simplicity, but then we could add something like this as an element. So we could put it as in the background on the pages or something, so that it's still like here for us to use, but then the logo, and remember, we're not blowing the logo up. It's usually in a small place
Right.
in the corner, and it can still say part of the brand family. So let me see what I can do with this, and maybe it doesn't have to be as modern as the other elements are, because I definitely tweaked it a little bit with our teapots. So
I'm just,
I did too.
So my only thing is
Historic.
if we can have historic.
I agree, I totally agree with that.
That was just the only.
And I also see the simplicity of this, I think, is important because we're talking to new generations. So
Yes,
we're
we
trying
are.
to get young people involved in
yeah,
this. And,
that's true.
you know,
And that
That's-
sort of it can appeal to all. It's very basic and
Yes, it is.
So
and
they
it's
can look
kind of
at it
industrial
and
looking too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The style of shoot that we're doing are very contemporary couples and styles and things like that, because we want to make sure that, you know, everybody
We're
knows that this is a
new-
place for anybody. So
Exactly. You don't have to wear your Victorian wedding dress.
Yeah.
I know, I just came back from maternity leave, so I'm new to everything here, but, my only thought with the word historic is that the language that you were, if that's what you're branding this house and all your language moving forward, like I just Googled Callahan House and it says City of Longmont Callahan House. It doesn't say historic Callahan House, so if you add historic to this, that I feel has to trickle everywhere. And Brittany's new phone messages, manager of the historic Callahan House, historic Callahan. You know what, like it has to mirror.
Yeah.
And
the
we're
last
branding
places,
us as
yeah.
historic.
yeah,
And I
maybe
feel
the
that-
historic is inherent and it doesn't. I don't know.
and it's referenced on the
Like
website.
the Molly
that's the
Brown
historic,
house
but
doesn't say historic,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And neither does the.
correct.
I mean, it tells you when it was built, they know it was historic.
Right.
Yeah,
You
so
know?
maybe it's there. Right, that's a really good point, Kristen.
I understand that would trickle down. I completely understand that. But maybe that's kind of my point, is that there are a lot of people here in town that don't know about the history of this, and again, it sets us apart. So the Callahan House and Garden, historic Callahan House and Garden, I don't think that's a.
There might be some options to incorporate it in other
Hook
ways.
on,
How
I
about
can
if
give you
it's
some.
like a little
I can
stop
give you
head
some
under the
visuals.
wall?
See,
Well,
this
got
is
some
exactly
ideas, so
why
let's hear
we're
it.
talking to the gal that does it, so that's why. And I understand.
that
Oh my
was
God,
just my
it's
thought, is like,
more work, and
it's
oh,
very good. It's
why
like
did
if
she
you
do
were
this?
the whole language
Yeah.
surrounding it would have to change.
And so there are different logos for different occasions. So there's the main logo, and then there are also different logos. So I will give you the museum's example of their different logo usage. Sorry, everybody wants to talk to me. Okay, so sometimes the museum just says Longmont Museum, and it doesn't have these taglines on there. And sometimes it does, depending on what they're using it for. So maybe we can have a version that says historic dot 1892 dot whatever we think is appropriate to have underneath there. But it wouldn't be historic Callahan House, it would still read as Callahan House, but it would have that element of
That would be
it's a
great.
That would
I like
work.
that.
That's perfectly win-win.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then that way, so when you think about it, if your letterhead is main logo, Gates, this one.
Correct.
A flyer for a community event that like has something to do with the relevance of the house, tea party, something like that, historic, 1892.
Open houses.
You know,
right.
things like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, whatever. So
Beautiful. That's
Yeah.
exactly what I'm thinking.
Cool. Yeah.
Easy, and it clarifies it.
I think if we were to add historic on the top, yes, we would have to do exactly what you're talking about, and it will look funny. But if it's something that you guys are really passionate about, let me make this and see how you guys feel. And if you guys are like, I hate
that
we can work on it.
Would love to see what you come up with.
Yeah.
Because
that
you're on-
encompasses
you're on
really what I want.
Cool.
So that would,
You're on it.
yeah.
Awesome.
That's
Awesome.
great.
Yes.
Awesome
A
sauce.
lot of hard work.
I love
Yeah.
the win-wins.
You have a cool job.
I do have a cool job. I
She
do.
does.
I just want to talk about.
It takes talent.
It
It
does.
does.
Thank you.
Very cool.
Thank you. I just want to talk about how cool it was. I think there's very few jobs where you like see the immediate impact so
Right.
frequently.
Game changer.
And so like we came, I don't know, it was like a month ago now, where I came for our final walkthrough before the party.
Yeah.
And I like put these out on the table, and the kid was like, "Oh my gosh!" And then we started drawing, and like the bar will go here, and this will go here. And,
Functionality.
Oh,
like,
that's
Oh,
great.
yes.
Yeah.
So like I was like, it's people don't usually get to have that kind of
Oh.
like you're just a cog in a machine.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Yeah.
So it's been very
That's
impactful
really cool.
for us. Even just like the new maps have been a huge
Yes.
game changer.
This to me
So-
is amazing. Again, thank you for all your work. And I would love the idea that we could bring in a historic element somewhere so it ties into the past.
Do you have a digital version of this? Can you send it to me?
Yes. And I
I'll see what
understand
we
that
can
it's
do.
not clean where it is, but if we could encompass it And sneak a little history in there that's.
Sneak
A little history in the modern look.
Let me clean up the lines. Let me
Thank
do stuff. Let me make it a vector image so you can scale it without it getting pixelized. And yeah, then I don't have a problem with that.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And from all you've done here, again, thank you. It's amazing.
Amazing.
Good.
And
I'm so glad you guys are
Thank
happy.
you for being open to any input that we have
Yes.
as well.
Of
without
course.
Considering
It's
it
always
as
a part of the
criticism.
process. We just don't want to be the. I have been in meetings where they're like, "What should we do?" And then
Oh, yeah.
it's very hard to like find it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Common
easy.
ground.
Yeah. So
Well, let
it's
me
like, let's
think
bring
about
something.
what we should do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me bring something. And it's like,
Right.
Yeah, you start from there.
Start to work from.
You have the ability to make some quick little
Yeah.
modifications to the,
yeah.
okay, so on the first floor, I actually changed entry to foyer because that's what we call it. I don't know if you want to make that official correction because we've got parlor, we've got music room, we've got library. I think you may want to put foyer because that is.
We call it.
That's
name.
officially what we call it.
Okay.
And
Is that one of those things that is not modern enough?
hopefully these
No, that's I'm worried about the aesthetic. I am not worried about the content.
She did this based on what I sent her, so.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's perfect. It's perfect.
And all
It's
of this was
excellent.
just a first draft.
Yeah, it's excellent.
Okay.
And so I just thought, so I know
That's
you're
a closet.
using WC as a water closet, right?
Yeah.
That's an actual closet. The lavatory
Okay.
is this.
Yeah, I
So
can
you'll
definitely
want
fix that.
to move that to there, or move this here. But
Yeah.
you know.
Perfect.
Enclosed porch is what we refer to it in the tour guide. So if we're wanting to be consistent
Yeah.
with language, I would recommend that.
Enclosed porch as opposed to sleeping porch?
No, that's
The
not
sleeping
that's
porch
the
is
first floor. Sleeping
Okay.
porch is
Oh,
upstairs.
oh,
So
the
that was
floor.
just first floor.
Yeah,
So the
okay,
foyer,
this guy.
enclosed porch, and then the lavatory there, and that's an actual house. On the second floor, rather than having bridal suite, I think that we decided we needed to go to the guest room, and that was so that we were more appropriate with language for today.
We can have two
I
versions.
don't know what you all
too.
want to do there.
For equity, I see.
Because we were like, that we were told that you can't be, we couldn't
I see. the
identify
issue.
a.
Maybe wedding suite, and then we
Yeah.
can have a version that says guest.
I mean, the guest room is what we refer to it in the tour guide, just so you know.
Okay.
But
That's a
however
good
you all.
question, because we want it to be clear that this is get ready space for
Yes.
a bride or groom or whoever.
And then, but we could
Yeah.
also just have one that says guest room for tours. If they're handing these out at tours, and we can have two different versions of
Yeah.
like a wedding version and a, or if
It's
that's
easier
too
to have one
complicated, yeah.
version that encompasses everything.
And it's so
Okay,
nice.
so
It's
what
so
would be
But we
nice
do
for
want people
hosting
to
those
know,
weddings.
like, mostly we're gonna be handing these out for potential clients, right? We have
Correct.
the other ones that are already on the handout for the open houses. So I want to make it clear that that
Dressing
is-
area?
I call it the
Dressing
bride's room
Yeah.
when they're up
We
there.
have
Yeah,
historically
I
called
do,
it that, and the only reason that the change happened, and it wasn't my idea, this came from the city, was that, say you have two men.
Yeah,
Right.
just for equity.
Yeah.
purposes.
So we.
Why don't we
had
just say
to-
dressing room?
Yeah,
So.
Because that, I mean, that
It was-
communication is
it became-
coming from you regardless of what it says, right?
Yeah.
It could be unlabeled and you're like, this is the space.
yeah. I
Space
think
is-
dressing room or get ready
Guest and
space
dressing
or
room
whatever.
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
That's a
dressing
good
room.
point.
think that
I like
makes-
dressing rooms pretty generic.
And then that works too for like any other type of event that's not a wedding.
Yeah.
You know, that it's a private space for the client or whoever,
Yeah.
so.
It's a
Okay.
reception for something.
That's a good point. Thank you.
So is there,
And then-
oh, go
Meeting
ahead.
room.
And then we refer to this as meeting room, but you maybe
I-
refer
that's
to it
me.
for marketing and as a ballroom.
Well,
thing?
it's from Molly Brown. It's
Oh.
like ingrained in my head that it's ballroom, but
I
we do refer to it as the meeting room.
I was
It's
a
a
ballroom
room.
best guess, so yeah.
I like ballroom. It sounds so
It's
elegant.
a one-way closet.
It's misleading.
It is misleading.
Because there's no wood floors that we
If
can
you wanna
put
go
a
to
brand
the
in.
Ballroom.
No, that was just
bathroom,
me.
But
Yeah.
this one's
You know,
This one's a
like,
bathroom.
Okay.
The one downstairs is a lavatory. This one is a bathroom because there's a bathtub in it.
You
That's
know,
what we refer to
on
it as.
it.
This is the
Kitchenette.
kitchenette.
Kitchen.
Yeah.
That would be
Kitchenette.
the retail
It is the
thing.
Yeah.
kitchenette. And then the sleeping porch.
Great.
So that's
Okay.
probably
Easy
where the
changes.
goes.
Easy peasy, is that?
Easy peasy.
Okay,
Cool.
Can
This
we,
is
can
mine.
we
This is
just
right one.
review what the suggestions are so that I have it in the minutes?
I think you can just say that we made edits to the.
Yeah.
Or
edits we
edits.
made.
Okay,
Yeah.
Revision.
The big ones I have is
Minor-
adding historic and then minor
Yeah.
vocabulary.
Labels.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
want to, do you want to add the portrait on?
That's a great question. I didn't know if
Driveway?
would people know what a rectangle there means. So like it's on this outline.
Up to you.
Do folks know? Would you, if I labeled this, what would I label this? I guess.
Portico.
Portico.
Yeah, that's what we
That's
refer
a
to
new
it
word
as.
for me.
Portico.
Portico.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'd be labeled as a portico,
Portrait.
portage.
Portrait. It's P-O-R-T-E and C-A.
French version.
French version.
Yes.
Yeah.
C-O-C-H-E-R-E.
And because she is the historian, go with what Karen says, that's kind of where
Can you
a lot of stuff.
Could you get that down for me, that word, because that's new for me. We don't
And
have
because
one
it
of
does
those.
have the Italian theme of the
Right.
gardens.
Yeah.
So portico would be Italian? Is that what you're saying? And portage
Yeah,
is French?
I'm Sicilian, but not that Sicilian. I have
We
no
need
idea.
to go back to Sicily and hang out for a while.
Yeah.
Well, and we don't want people using it anyway, so, you know.
Yeah.
Neither or there.
Okay. Mine.
Okay,
You can see, okay, I was gonna say, writing can get a little, what's that?
lovely. And this is called a gazebo, correct? It's not
Yes,
safe.
it's a gazebo.
Okay.
Gazebo,
Any
gazebo.
other feedback
made
for
of
Rachel?
You want to move that just a smidge on this way because effectively there are steps that go out here.
Mhm.
And then this is right off of the wraparound porch, which
Okay.
door.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, that should be fine.
Because
That's
that's,
just
I
a
mean,
stair.
this is the library.
Yeah.
And then this is like, this is the, that's what I'm saying, this is the music room. And right here is the door to go out onto the wraparound porch. And this is really where the stairs are. So if you wanna,
Cool.
for
For accuracy.
Sure.
so people don't go, wait a minute, wait a minute, where's the
Easy
stairs?"
change, easy change.
Okay.
Any other feedback for Rachel?
Thank
Sorry,
you.
Rachel.
And congratulations.
Thank
Are
you.
you, are you
Thank
breathing?
you.
Are you there? That's like going, this is,
Yeah. I think we made a choice. So I'm married already. So we had our ceremony. We did it just us two, and it was beautiful. It was lovely. We were on a trip. So we're done. So like the like emotional, this needs to be my special moment isn't a thing anymore. You know.
Right.
I had that already. So now it's just a party.
Right.
But then it means I had to do 2 sets of plans. So now I'm like at the end of the second big event and I'm tired. So and then my mom comes on Friday for 2 weeks, so I will be more tired.
celebrating's hard work, gosh.
Yeah, it is. It's tough work.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to do it.
Yeah. Yes. It's so unfortunate I have to get married and have all my cousin's family. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you so much.
And thank you for coming to share and.
And it's
Yeah.
nice to put a face to
And
the
put a
name.
Yes.
Yeah. And feel free to email me. It's Rachel.Moyer, and I think it's somewhere. Somewhere. But I can email wherever you know my at longmontcolorado.gov. And always feel free to ask questions. You can always, if you're like, is this okay? Does this design work? And I can be like, most of the time, if you're using the stuff I set up, it's like,
That's good, okay.
but yeah, it's when you go rogue. When you're
Yeah,
like,
we go rogue.
No need to go rogue anymore, because we
Yeah.
have all this stuff,
Yeah.
so.
So-
What? You don't need to just, let's fly by the seat of my pants.
And then if it ever happens that you need a new map, something comes up where you need some kind of material that you're like, this is out of my realm, you always just contact the comms team and mention me because I did it before, and they'll assign it to me again.
Thank you.
Cool.
Wonderful.
I'm so glad that you guys are
Again,
happy.
thank you so much.
Yeah,
This
no
is very
worries.
exciting. And who knew that we all had to be so modern with the new thing?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
I know.
well.
Some people love it, some
But it's-
people hate it, and to me it
That's
is my
okay.
job. So
Yeah, exactly.
it doesn't
You're-
matter.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rachel. I really appreciate it.
Before I forget, Karen.
That was fun.
Thank you.
We should do that more often.
You want me for about 10 more minutes?
10 more minutes, okay.
For me, you can keep eating, but I
Okay, I don't think there's anything too crazy.
We're gonna really skim pretty fast, right?
Thank you. Yeah, I think the rest of this we can go through.
Any
pretty quick, so.
other items from staff that you might have to throw in
Yeah, do you have any
yourself?
updates?
So we're
Nope.
not.
Okay.
Well,
good.
no, she's just asking before Kristen has to leave. If she's
Oh,
got
yeah,
it.
Yeah.
no, just trying to.
No, I'm just trying to clean up
back together.
if there's something she needs to do before she leaves.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, so
So
then
nothing?
we're on art walk.
Okay,
Nothing for items
Nothing.
from staff.
art
Well,
walk.
no,
But there may be
Maybe
from
from
other
other
pieces.
Maybe
Okay.
nothing
Right.
for me. Yep.
we're going back up to new business,
Yeah.
Art Walk 2024.
So I already have the musician for the Mr. Bonorano is going to be doing the music again, and he's allowing us to piggyback and going to help spread the news by using his email list to promote the event as well.
What's
So
his name?
Sal Monorano, and they were the musicians from last year that
Okay.
they did the jazz music, and
Right.
he has quite a huge following of a group of people, and so if we use his email list as well, hopefully our numbers will be back up. Now I have been trying to work on getting artists. As you're aware, I'm not going to be here for that event because that happens to be the same date as my goddaughter's wedding. So,
How inconvenient of her.
yeah, and that was planned before I got signed up for this one. So,
I think we want to put together a committee.
yeah, I really would like to have more people besides Karen. I know you had volunteered that we were going to work on this, but yeah, I would like more people's input, and I think that from what we have spoken about in the past, we had really wanted to have more artists than what we're
Yeah, I
doing.
think we should fill the garden.
Right.
I mean, there's no reason not to, and people
If we
can,
can get them, yeah, let's do it.
people can bring pop-ups if they want to, and,
Oh,
you
right,
know, I say,
distribution.
yeah.
Okay.
Let's make it go big or go home.
Yeah,
Could
and
be.
I also want a change from recent years is people need to supply their own stuff. Like we're not gonna rent pop-ups and things like that.
No.
Yeah, we have some easels and tables and chairs in the house. We've got some tables that could potentially be used, but mostly people need to supply their own stations. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And
And if whatever we have can be used, but we're not gonna rent additional items.
Yes.
And then
Right.
this event is
Yeah.
costing us. Since
Right.
there's not a table fee, they need to provide their own stuff.
They wanna pop up, they bring
agree.
it.
I think
Yeah.
that's a great idea. And then Brittany also shared with me that she contacted the organization person.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
our, the firehouse, we've paid
The
our
firehouse.
sponsorship for this year. It's
Yes.
the same sponsorship level that we've done in the past, and then we'll be featured on the map
Okay.
as a sponsor and as a location for artists. So
And are we
that's
going to
done.
reiterate with them in addition to put their logo on our things because they're working with us on that?
Yeah, I mean, they're not sponsoring us, we're sponsoring them.
We're sponsoring them, but is there any way that, I don't know.
You mean for us to put their logo on like our donor list?
Mm-hmm, have they
Well, we're
donated
donating to
anything?
them as opposed to the other way around, so if anything,
Yes, so
they would
that's-
use our logo on their stuff.
I know, but is there any way that we can do it as a dual thing where we're,
Oh, like see if, since we're donating, if they want to join our donor
Tit for tat.
program.
Yeah.
Sure. Once that's formulated, I think we can send it out to various people that we have partnerships with in the community and see if they're interested. It's a good idea.
that's what I wanted to.
Gotcha.
And I have that on my calendar for September the 14th.
Correct.
Sound right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I also have a wedding that day.
You do? It's a big wedding venue day.
Yeah,
September is
it is.
September and June are the.
So do we need to
ones,
get a committee together to work on that?
Yeah,
Yes.
so far the only people on the committee are you and I.
Okay.
You, I, and Brittany.
Me, Brittany.
And Brittany's
Okay, we
really
need
not
more
really
people
on the
than that.
committee. So I
No,
would,
I mean, I'll be helping with stuff, but yeah.
but anybody else that would like to step forward.
Are
would
we
be great.
anticipating a new member of the Callahan House Board?
Unfortunately, not. So Rebecca that joined our
Right.
meeting, yeah, very interested. She did apply, but since she just moved back here from out of the country. She's not. You have to be
She's
a
been
registered
here for a
voter
year.
for a year.
Oh,
Yeah.
So
I
that
forgot
was the
that.
only thing keeping her.
That's the only
Well,
thing.
that's good.
So that's a bummer.
I mean,
but
good
hopefully-
that she wasn't
Yes.
just
Right.
like turned off by.
Yeah, no, she
Right.
was very interested.
She just
and
doesn't qualify yet.
it's a bummer. Yeah. So
Oh, okay.
hopefully next year, and that was our only applicant. So
We need more physical
keep
bodies.
spreading the word.
Yeah.
Okay, so
And
So,
eight
and
on
now at
hands.
this point, it would be for next year because the application process for somebody starting in June is already
It's
passed.
I was just gonna say, would the city open up another window?
It's
I mean, Mayor Peck last night
so.
was like begging everybody.
Yeah.
Reach out to everyone you know
Yeah.
and, ask them to volunteer. We need more volunteers.
At this point, somebody can start in January.
Right.
So
I should have asked her. I wish I'd known because I would have asked her then at that time. So we're
Can we
struggling.
get an
because-
exception?
Can we get an exception, have an additional
Yeah, I don't
window
know
for accepting
how possible
applicants
that
for
is, but-
filling this year?
So anyway, yeah, that was a bummer.
So back to the art walk real quick.
Yeah.
When do
If
you
any-
want to set a task meeting and then we can join you?
Yeah.
This is one of the biggest events of the year. So
It is a big
It's-
event.
as much
It's
and
way too
involvement as
big for
possible.
one person to handle.
I really want to get going on this. Is there any way?
How long are you gonna run the task?
14 days. So I won't be back until and then I've got a hiccup because I've got a major surgery coming up in July as well. So
So we need to nab you in June.
yeah, we need to work on it probably about
You
first.
tell me when in June.
And it's June till 8. That's the, so I'm gonna put it out there right
Can't
now. Start, if you have artists or any friends that are artists that you think would be interested, please reach out to them with that date for September and let them know that there's availability so we can start bringing artists in because we have to have, I'm like with Brittany, I would like to fill the space more so people would get a much bigger crowd here.
And we're talking visual only or
No.
visual and music
Whatever.
and
Well,
Yeah.
music's taken care of, unfortunately.
okay, so
because
that's out.
so music, or fortunately,
Yeah, I was gonna say fortunate.
fortunately,
He's
I'm sorry,
Fortunately, right.
he's
right.
really good.
Yeah.
And he's so dynamic in the sense that he was a band instructor, so he's got a large following of people. But jewelry artists and any kind of medium that you can
Any kind
think
of art
of.
medium.
And they're vending, so something I guess that is a product that can be sold,
Right.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If there's a place, I mean, even that has to do with art in the community that sells like a membership or something like that, it's still a commodity that can be, purchased just to
But we've also
support that organization or whatever.
We've
It's
also
fine
talked
too,
about people that do like sculptors and stuff like that don't necessarily have large pieces to sell, but could put a display and show how, like Tim King's a good example. He has done sculpture pieces for the schools, in front of all the schools here in town. He's the person I want to contact and see if maybe he could set up and discuss how he goes through the process and an educational piece type of thing.
Yeah.
That's interactive with the community is key, but mostly for selling purposes if we
Yeah.
can.
Show and
And
sell.
you're planning to
sell,
contact-
maybe show.
Do we have a list of the people that were here
planning
last
to
year?
contact the people from previously.
Right, that was my question.
With the exception of maybe we talked about not including stores any longer,
This
like the red door.
the red door was difficult. She used a lot of space. She didn't sell a tremendous amount.
Yeah, I think trying to focus on individual
Artists
artists
would be better.
Yeah,
It's better.
so that would be my suggestion.
But-
But I would contact everybody that's been here before that would be interested.
And I am reaching out. The East Boulder County Arts Alliance group is having their big open houses where they have artists at different
Oh,
houses
perfect.
and walk through. So I've got that whole
Yeah.
list, and I'm going to contact almost
Excellent.
everybody on that list.
Yeah, that's great. That's a good source.
So,
So,
but again, looking at calendar wise,
so we've got the committee meeting for the club survey and the donor program.
Correct.
Would this maybe take priority over some of those things and change some of that time to
It would in my
designate
mind.
to this instead. Like maybe the club survey, because we want the membership or the donor program to be available for the July open house if
Right.
possible. But maybe
Right.
the club survey.
Could we
get
meet
a
all at the
later
same day?
committee time? Or add another.
Just
Can
add
we all have
another
3 hours?
last meeting to
Yeah, add it to the
get
another
these
task
three
meeting.
topics.
This is
done
all
The
in
house
one
is
day.
open all day, so.
If we could do that, because
that work
really,
for
it's
everybody?
really about sharing information on what it is and what we're gonna be doing and that type of stuff.
Does that work? This
Yeah,
like, so
yes.
add another
Add 4 times.
hour to the 17th. So
To
it'd
the
be like
17th.
3 hours for 3 topics.
Next Friday.
June 17th.
June
May.
May
17th,
May.
next Friday.
May 17th, next Friday.
We already put time on that for you.
Yeah.
Oh, so it'd be the club survey, the donor program, and Art Walk.
But you're not coming back for another meeting, it's all in one sheet.
Yeah, so it'd be
I
10
would
to,
prefer to do that. quite
10 to
frankly.
1.
Can
Yeah.
we, that would work better for my schedule as well, please,
Okay.
if everybody's okay. Karen, are you all right with that, or is that too
No, I think we do too.
May 17th.
is the same.
Yeah, so it'll be the 3
I'm
committee
on
topics
it,
that
but-
day.
I'm feeling a little overwhelmed.
So first meeting will be club survey, first task will be club survey, second task will be
Donor.
donor program, and the third task will be art walk.
Correct.
Just get them done and,
Yeah.
back to back.
One,
And are we starting at 9 a.m.?
I think at this point we should.
Should.
Yes.
Okay,
That's what
so
I would-
9 to noon instead?
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Okay.
Maureen, will you be here for the June meeting? It's the 12th.
I'll be here for the 12th, yes.
I'm gonna go, I'm sorry I have to leave.
No, thank you.
But I wanted you to know, or let everybody know that you won't come to June one.
Yeah,
and
that was on my
I'll
list.
be here in your.
Yeah, so Ben and
Yeah,
Kristen
I'll-
will be here for the June meeting. I will not be here.
Okay.
Are you doing something fun?
My cousin's wedding in North Carolina.
These dang weddings.
Thanks. Yeah, it's been a lot
It's so,
of
it is
So-
season. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
fun though.
So,
Great,
Okay.
that's good.
Cool.
thank you, Kristen.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Sorry,
Kristen.
Kristen.
It's good to see you.
Thank
I'm glad you're back.
Thank you.
Outside Raleigh. Yeah. So,
That's really
Carborough, I think it's called. It's just like right outside Raleigh.
Yeah.
So, that'll be fun. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Good
And
day.
I am canceling this meeting this afternoon.
Oh,
I
okay.
just have
Good to know.
so much to do.
No worries. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I'm so glad that we're gonna do that all in one meeting. That's good.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank
for giving us that. Yeah.
Okay, on to the next thing, which is the piano.
Yay, piano. Yeah, so it's the purchase is the check is on its way to Barb Lewis, who is the seller. And she, originally posted it for $3,000, but offered it to us for $750 was the final price.
That's a
So
really
that's
good deal.
exciting. Yeah.
Wow.
It's all set up with the movers, the folks that did all the hard work for us to get this oven into the house. Also have done historic piano moves. So they're gonna do that for us. They're picking it up from Barb on May 24th and delivering it to Fred Goheen, who's gonna do the restring and just also see if there's anything else that it needs.
He's wonderful.
Yeah, so very excited that he's involved in that.
What's the name
what's
of his outfit?
This
is Fred's?
Goheen Piano, yeah.
Goheen.
Goheen, Goheen.
Okay.
And
Him and his son now are.
yeah, he's the
That's
one, that
lovely.
takes care of the Steinway for us and all that. So he's gonna have it for probably 2 or 3 months. And then we'll have the same company move it to Callahan House eventually.
What's happening to the old one?
Great question. Right now it is up for, there's something within the city called Up for Grabs. And it's basically an email that goes out to all city administrators to let them know that this is available. And it's kind of a 3-tiered process, but right now it has to start by going through Up for Grabs, which means it has to get used somewhere within the city. And realistically, the chances of anybody wanting it within the city, can't think of a place that would use it, but who knows? It's been on there for a week or so. I think after it's on for 2 weeks, then I can move it to being available for auction. So the city does an auction process, which is like a wider open thing. And then there's like a third tier if it doesn't sell at auction. I can't remember what that is, but
Yeah.
so
That's a
luckily
great
we've got a
program.
few months to try to get rid of it.
Thank you,
And
Brittany, for
hopefully,
your work.
hopefully
Yeah,
somebody
that's
will be
great.
interested in it.
Mhm.
If they're not, I asked the moving company if they might, if the other one is coming in and this one's still here, they're gonna move it into the auto house for us for now. I hate to just like throw stuff in there, but we have to do something with it. So that's it. We have several months to see what's going to happen, but that's like worst case scenario.
That's worst case scenario.
You know. So
And that could happen because.
well, we'll
And
see.
there's no way that we can donate it to somebody.
We'll see. The problem is
Question
is, will they want it?
Put it on
well, it's
Facebook
somebody wants it, and
Marketplace.
there are restrictions within the city about just
That's
like
why-
general donation, which is a bummer. But we have
That's
to go
what
through
I'm
this
worried about
process.
is through what are the restrictions that we could just say.
Yeah, I can't just post it on Craigslist right now or something.
Yeah, can't
For
just sit
free.
it out on the sidewalk and say,
No.
free.
No.
You can't bring it on big item day to the dump.
Maybe. I mean, that just feels so wasteful. But,
You know, this
Yeah, but
well,
there's so many.
but this is
sounds
part
crazy,
of what
but-
we knew was going to be a challenge.
Yeah.
So,
consider reaching out to 1-800-GOT-JUNK. And the reason I say that is because while they don't just take things to the dump, they repurpose things. And so that is
well,
worth
yeah.
checking in with.
we need to go through the
That's
process with the
wrong,
city
yeah.
first,
Yes.
but then we'll see
Yes,
how that
city
works out.
process first, but
And
The
see if
worst
the
case
city will
scenario-
let us use that.
Yeah.
And they don't all do that.
No, they don't, but one
The
of them.
local one does.
Does.
Wow.
So I
So
like
you
that.
know,
That's
just
a
go
much
to the
better idea.
landfill.
So,
good.
what a good deal.
Better
Okay.
than sending it to
So yeah,
the
we've
landfill.
got some time to figure it out, luckily, but it needs to go through this process first.
Right.
And then if we can't get rid of it through the city processes, then we'll see what
Okay.
our other options are.
Does that junk
Oops, I'm sorry.
repurpose everything or some things are
Everything that
thrown
they
out?
have.
Okay.
I
No,
mean,
you're
you can
fine.
call them and talk to them, they're great, I've used their services before, and they are fantastic, they
That's great.
repurpose a
We have
lot.
to.
You have to, yeah, they're great.
Okay.
And then do they sell it?
I don't really know what,
I think they donate it.
yeah,
Oh.
yeah,
They donate it to.
Is it a nonprofit?
no, it is a for-profit business, when I've got them, but.
They repurpose it. I like that idea.
So you pay them to
Yeah,
take it away.
You pay them
Yeah.
to take it away.
That's totally acceptable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Right.
exactly,
But
Exactly.
here's the deal.
but it goes.
If we're gonna move it anyway, that seems like a better option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Than
Not
wasting space.
Not into the auto. no.
Yeah, anything but that.
That's
Yeah.
who
Never
donated
meet
it?
again.
There's a little plaque on it. It was donated by a group. I can't
Store
remember. It's
Optimist.
right on there.
The
Yeah.
Optimist Club.
It's the store optimist.
So, but it was.
And they'll be, are they okay with the fact that we're going to?
It doesn't
It
matter.
doesn't- yeah.
I know, I'm just curious, did they have a reaction
Don't
or
ask
do they know?
Just don't ask.
Just change it and
We're
not
not
say
really
anything.
asking.
I don't really wanna go there. I think.
No,
I
I'm
think
not
they're
saying that we would make a point of telling them, but if they already kind of knew or will know, I'm just asking if they.
I don't know what their involvement is with the. I mean, they're not like a club that meets
Who
here.
has to
So
Oh, they don't, oh, good.
it says.
The store
so I
optimist.
don't- Yeah.
Optimist.
Oh,
And
Yeah,
they
they're
were
not
probably
a club
just
that
wanting to
meets.
get rid of it.
Yeah.
anyway.
And in getting it, you
When it was
know,
donated, there's pictures of it that were
Yeah.
on paper, and that's in the
That
scrapbook.
piano was
But-
built in like 1965 and 1970.
Yeah,
Yes.
It was,
Oh,
it
wow.
is not,
Okay.
And per hour now existing donation agreement,
we're trying to be more
we
historic.
can do whatever we need
Good,
to do
good.
with it. So, yeah, yeah.
I really
like
didn't
that.
think it would stop us from doing anything. I was
No.
just curious
Oh,
because
yeah.
everything else we think about who donated
Yeah.
it and
Yeah.
Yeah, and be sensitive to that.
like
And
soften the
Sydney,
blow.
you're
somehow.
Right,
Yeah.
soften the blow.
I don't know that they have any involvement really with the house anymore,
I
so
don't think they do.
Yeah.
if they do, I don't know what it is, so.
I don't
We're not reaching
know
out
what they do.
right now to
No.
they're not on our list for club affairs, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at.
Okay, excellent, that sounds great. We are moving down to item 8, items from the board. Anybody have
Items
Did
from
you
staff.
want staff?
Yeah.
Kind
Oh, we already,
Yeah.
I already asked that, didn't I?
Of Kristen, in
Just-
case she has
just
some
since she
before
was
she
here.
left.
Okay, okay,
Got
other staff.
Yeah,
She's
some
got
stuff.
Okay, pardon me.
No worries. I wanted to share stats from the open house, which was very successful. 117 people attended, which is great because last year we had 17 people attend.
That's $100
So,
Right. That was really bad.
100 more people, that's amazing.
yeah, and in defense, last year there was no advertisement.
No
because it was
advertisement,
in between managers and, you know,
I'm sorry,
Um,
what was the attendance?
117
117
Yeah.
For the.
for the
open house.
spring open house.
Okay.
On April 25th. And I advertised it in pretty much every way that was possible, including the chamber, Visit Longmont, and the Longmont Downtown District
Thank you.
Association.
Perfect.
That is
Perfect.
So
such-
good to
Amazing.
see like what can happen when we
Right.
put the word
Yeah.
out.
The word gets out,
Um,
yeah.
So there were 85 people in the first hour, 28 in the second hour, and 4 in the third hour.
Ooh.
So the
Four.
dates and times for the rest of this year are kind of already set, but I'm thinking next year we might want to think about just doing a 2-hour
Yeah.
time slot instead of 3 hours.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And
and
we
for
could
July
move
it
it
kind
just
of
to
already
see-
is what it is,
And we
but
could move it just a half hour early.
back or something,
Yeah.
or yeah, whichever way.
Yeah, exactly.
And maybe, and maybe that's just for the spring open house. If July is busy for all 3 hours, then
We'll
yeah.
see.
But good information.
Thank you for
we
all
got
the marketing you've been doing too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
That's
this
outstanding.
city has a lot of avenues that make it really easy, so it's good. We got $25 in cash donations, $65 in merchandise sales, and 34 new email signups.
Great.
So that's
Lovely.
very good.
That's good.
That's amazing.
It's good.
Thanks for
Yeah.
everybody that did
Great.
that.
34 new email signups.
Excellent. Thank you,
I
Neil.
just was hitting the wall.
Yeah, no worries. No, it was certainly plenty manageable with the amount
It
of
was.
people that we
There
had,
were a
so
lot
no
of people
problem at all.
at first, but
Yeah.
I mean, it moved along.
It was good, yeah.
Thank you.
Exciting news that happened very quickly. I did not expect this, but the gazebo now has electricity.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it so happened that we had put in a request for a quote for it, and they actually, the company that the city uses, Rose Electric, had to come out to do some electric because we had to get a new water heater, which is also in place. And so they were able to just do that at the same time. So there's a little outlet box on the gazebo now, which
Nice.
is exciting.
Oh my gosh, are we gonna purchase lights to go up?
That leads into my next thing.
All right.
So the last page of the packet is with no context on the page, but is about lights for the garden.
That's what that is.
That's what
Okay.
this is,
I
yeah.
wondered what that
Sorry.
was. Yeah.
No, I'm thrilled.
So there's going to be lights in the gazebo, which is not pictured here, but there'll be lights in the gazebo. And then we are going to be, which is really exciting, it's very much needed for weddings and garden events in general, but putting market string lights out in the main garden, in the south garden.
I've always wanted that. It's
So-
like you're reading my mind because
What
I walked
is-
out there and said, "Oh, we need lighting."
Yes.
So what it really looks like is going to be string lights kind of in a zigzag here. So the pink is the existing lampposts.
Uh-huh.
And what we need to do in order to make this happen, because we don't want anything wrapped on the trees for the health of the trees. So we don't want to attach or wrap anything on the trees as requested by Parks. And of course we want to go along with that. Is they're going to install 2 more posts. The blue
Oh, I see.
is 2 additional
Okay.
posts.
Are they just
And
posts
they're-
or lights?
Well, so at first they're going to be posts, but eventually, maybe next summer, I think, or maybe the fall, they're going to match the existing lamps. So and they're going to be lit.
Love.
So it's going to be a replica
Right.
of the existing
What's
lamps.
existing.
For now, just posts, but then eventually get them electrified. So they'll hook it up so that the electric is there, and they can add the lamp heads later. Only because that's going to take them some time to source it, and we need to get this done by Rachel's wedding, which is in a few weeks.
Right.
So, with your
Wow.
blessing, this is happening next week. So hope that everybody's on board. But it's really exciting. I mean,
I think it's
Does that
exciting.
change timing of weddings too?
No, but
does help.
like last year there was a wedding on September 30th, and at 9:00 at night, people are trying to see
Right.
cut their steak, and it's
Right.
it's very, very needed. It's very exciting. So this will be the market lighting, and then
I
the
am-
gazebo.
Excellent.
So
Cool.
yeah, and we got a couple different quotes for that, a couple different ideas about how to put it together, and these folks could do it without using the trees, and it's going to be a permanent installation, and they can do maintenance on it as needed.
Wow.
So
Wonderful.
and they can do the whole thing, the install, the electric, the whole shebang. So
So that's
Nice.
not going to have any issues during winter months or anything like that?
so the lights that they're using are all weather, all season. Of course, there'll be maintenance over time, which
Right.
they can help us with.
Right.
So yeah, it's
Excellent.
Beautiful.
exciting. And I think with the most minimum impact to existing, nothing is attached to the house.
It's not going to affect the fountain or anything?
No,
like that?
it'll all be overhead that
Okay.
that area.
Okay.
So
Wow.
That's lovely.
I am very
It's
excited.
very needed, honestly, like as a venue.
As a venue,
space.
right.
Truthfully, when I was out walking the garden last summer, that was one of the things I'm like, we need more lights.
I think it'll help with security and some of
Yes.
the like issues that we've been having with unhoused persons, you know,
Right.
trying to make encampments and things
Oh,
like
right.
that. So there's
Yeah.
dual benefits. A couple of the brides are like just beyond ecstatic about it, and so it's very exciting. We're doing a lot to kind of like work on upgrading our venue status while still, you know,
Yes.
maintaining and highlighting the historic aspects of
I,
it.
Right.
I am so jazzed.
Wonderful.
That's
Me
amazing.
too.
Yeah.
It's really exciting.
That's going to
Good.
call attention to people coming around who wouldn't
Yeah.
have even noticed the house
That's
before.
exactly right.
Yeah.
The lighting.
Drive right by
Yeah.
it, and now they go,
It's like,
look how pretty
because
that
lighting
is.
right
Yeah.
away sort of looks like
Makes
an
a big
event
difference.
or a
Yeah.
venue of some sort. Yeah.
It's a big
And
difference.
we're also, the company that does the lighting for Roosevelt Park for the holidays is looking into adding Callahan House to their list.
I was just gonna ask
oh
that.
my gosh.
Just gonna ask
Oh,
that.
yeah. And we
Wow.
checked with the Historic Preservation Commission and also with Ann McLeave from History Colorado about the best way to go about doing that. You know, like what they can use that protects the structure and doesn't make any permanent alterations of any kind.
Right.
And there are some good options for that, so.
Oh, that's amazing.
Wait, is
So I think
it
that'll
for
be fun
permanent
too.
or for Christmas?
Just for the holidays, so,
Okay.
you know, to like, I accent the gables and everything.
Right.
Well, thank you. Last year, my
Lovely.
beautiful, just like, oh.
That's so
The
exciting.
beautiful lights on the porch last
Lovely.
year, so
Or
this will be a
kids.
big upgrade for
That's
that.
amazing.
So
That's
it's all
would we
exciting
consider?
things.
Okay. Now I'm gonna laugh because mind blank. The gal that always wanted to do our stuff over darn, who's the past board member, and I'm blanking on her name. Anne would love that. Could we do lighting on the auto house as well?
Sure, yeah, I'm sure we could.
People
I
don't
mean,
even
we'll see what
realize
the
it's
quote
there.
is, you know.
Yeah,
We're
because
working
she
on
always wanted to put
seeing if
the
it's
Santa in the
affordable.
auto
She
house.
does all you want to put the Santa in the auto house.
Oh, on
And-
top of it?
No,
Yeah.
so they would go in, so it'd be
Santa-
like
that's
a
what
shop.
Santa
Yeah,
Claus
it was
was.
Caesar's
Santa,
workshop.
I gotcha.
She always wanted to do that. We could do kids.
Gotcha.
It
Yeah.
would be
Well, we'll see what kind of
Disneyland.
state the auto house is in, I guess. at that
Yeah.
point,
We'll see.
but-
Well, it's wishful thinking.
Yeah.
Okay, we gotta think moving forward.
Yeah.
Positive.
So,
right.
yeah. And then, sorry, real quickly, the postcards that Maureen brought that were from the friend of yours, I've sent an image of those to legal to see what we need to do or can do to make a reproduction to sell at the open houses.
That's amazing,
So,
and that was
I'm waiting to
actually,
hear back.
that was Sal's wife.
Oh, cool. Okay, good context. there.
Marilyn.
Yeah.
And she's a
Looking at them now.
Legal.
Okay.
Yeah.
she does archaeological digs and stuff, and she was wondering, where the original outhouses and stuff were here.
Yeah.
And she wanted,
Oh,
she had kind of said that she might volunteer to help us figure out certain things on the property. And
Oh,
she's
okay.
amazing. And so through historic contacts, she got that. Would you know what building this is? And she said, oh, absolutely. And then we just,
Well, that's
So
Yeah.
look at it, and that kind of stuff sells like crazy. We used to do ones like historic postcards of Chautauqua when I was there, and they just sell like
oh my
they sell. And
Yeah,
that's
so
exactly
great.
one of those things because
People
that's
really
something
like
I would
that.
purchase.
a little keepsake,
Yeah.
So anyway, looking into
Lovely.
how to go about doing that.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then just as Kristen said, I'm not going to be at the June meeting, so I'll, obviously get the packet and all of that stuff. Ben and Kristen will be here, and I'll send along some notes for any of the items that I'm working on.
Wonderful.
Yeah, that's what I got.
Is that it from?
That's it. Yeah, thanks.
No, you're good. Okay, then we're moving on to item 8, items from the board. You've got something, I know.
I do. I'm very excited about this. So as you know, I'm on the Questers. I'm vice president of our chapter, and they've reached out. Our state board has reached out to us with historic funds, and we put out a large grant that would be open for different projects. And what would we be interested in? And I proposed that we could use those funds to redo this table and chairs in the dining room. And so I'm going to be writing for that grant, and hopefully we can use it for the historic restoration of the table.
Yeah,
That
that's
would be
great.
great. So
Wow.
even the upholstery.
I'm sorry?
In conjunction with San Sure, that had, many months ago, they came and said that they had some money that they wanted to donate to Callahan House, and what project would be something that we wanted to do. So I just suggested the dining set, and I think that Connie and I'm blanking on the president of the other chapter, but they wanted to work together to pool funds to donate to this project.
And the bottom line is that it's one fund.
Yeah.
Okay, it's coming from the overall state P&L
Gotcha.
historic, because Questers has certain funds that we do, and it's all for historic preservation. And we have funds in the state fund that has to be used for preservation. So they were trying to figure out where we'd like to use those, and so I'm gonna be writing that grant.
Thank you.
I don't know that it's a conflict of interest, but because it's all for the historic preservation of the house.
Yeah.
But I'm very excited about that, and I'm going to be looking into we did some historic chairs, and that was done through Denver, and seeing if I can get some ideas on how much money, and I've asked Karen's help as well as for ideas. Yeah, because I've written grants, but she wrote the big one for this house, and she's got all the info. So I'm very excited about that.
We also did request a quote, so that you have an idea about how much we need for it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that if anybody has an idea of a vendor, that would be helpful. Because Empire, we kind of go through them and then see who they know and can reach out to. But so far, I haven't really gotten any.
I've got a vendor
leads on that.
I have a vendor that we use for these chairs. He's rather slow, so I'm going to keep on. I'm going to reach out to Anne at the historic board and
Could
get
you
ideas.
send me information of vendors so I can reach out for quotes so that we know how much you
There's a
might need
list
for the project?
there's a list of vendors that the historic History Colorado recommends, and that's what I'll do.
Okay, thank
I'll
you.
just use those direct vendors.
Okay.
Exactly.
Is
But
that
let me know so that we can get I can reach out for an official quote.
That's
Okay,
what I'll
thank
do.
you.
the state fund, is that History Colorado, or what is
No,
that?
it isn't. It's Questers, and there's also
You mean
another.
the state Questers
Questers
organization
has a
fund?
state fund.
Okay.
It's called the P&L for preservation, and it's all we use funds. We've restored buildings throughout Longmont, and we've also restored the museum piece in Berthoud, and throughout the state there's various different buildings. The Stanley home we donated for their dining room to be redone, and the
Nice.
wallpaper and everything. It's all about historic preservation. That's
Okay.
exactly our
Great, I
purpose.
just needed to know what the organization was.
And then
Thanks.
I'm hoping this might open a door for possibly more funding to come from the national committee, but we'll see what we can do.
Thank you.
Okay.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, great, thank you.
Yeah,
very
Thanks,
nice.
Maureen.
That's gonna have
This is
a
on the
real,
list, so it's good.
that's gonna really have an impact on that.
Yeah, and I
This
would
is
like
so
to
prominent in
mention,
the house.
yeah, and I'd like to mention also, I've kind of changed some procedural things so that this space is getting used less for rentals, because I think it's important for the overall preservation of it. So especially for weddings, we've changed the way that we just do the cake cutting and things like that. There's no reason that this space needs to be used for that,
Move it out.
outside.
Yeah.
Because we were moving in and out all the time. The bottom, has got a lot of problems. Just it's getting too much use. So I'm kind of trying to change things procedurally for it to not be used as much during private rentals, just to help with all that, especially after restoration.
Yeah.
So
That'd
Yeah.
be great.
Yeah.
That's great.
So that was my
ooh, thank you.
That
It's
is
very
exciting.
exciting.
That's very wonderful.
Yeah.
Maureen,
Good for you.
Lovely.
There's a Newt's Antique Refurnishing here in town. It's on County Line Road, Knutes.
I think it's Tom and Alice Newt. Yeah.
I think I
I've
had
used them
something,
before.
I have two.
I have
They're
two,
fabulous.
it was
I-
great
That's
work.
great.
I wonder if he's still, I wonder if he's still restoring.
Well, that's why I just Googled and it came up,
And the
so.
only, he was getting older and I think he was slowing down. I don't know if he's still restoring.
See, that's one of the things is,
But they're fabulous if he is.
Or maybe he can refer us to someone else that
Right.
he's admired in the
see,
industry.
so I went to,
Yeah.
I'm having my historic clock redone. It's a calendar clock, and the gentleman that used to do it here in town, Tim, and I can't. Anyway, he had health issues and he stopped restoring clocks, and so he recommended a place up in Superior, not it's past the Superior, it's where the heck up 70 in the mountains someplace. But he's a wonderful person that I'm working with. So yeah, that's the problem. Some of these people that have restored things for years, they're
retired.
They're
They're
aging out.
They're aging out. And to try to find people that still do
You
it.
might also reach out to Elise
That's what I was just gonna say.
DeSantis with the St. Brand Historical Society, because they have
Vendors.
vendors who come in for the
Could you share
Strawberry
me her
Festival.
contact? Just share her contact with me. That would be great.
Yeah, they come in
What
for
was the
the
name
strawberry.
of the one, Maureen, that you worked with? Sorry.
I can't remember.
Oh, okay.
I apologize, but what I'm getting, my point is that they're aging out and trying to find people that.
Yeah, but the vendors who come into the Strawberry and Tea Festival and Pumpkin Pie Days, and Elise would be the one who would have all of their contact information. So
That'd be perfect.
The Strawberry Days is
restoration.
next weekend, I believe, Saturday and Sunday.
Already?
At Fairgrounds.
Oh my gosh, it's happening. I'm xeriscaping my whole front yard at the moment, and through Resource, and I just got all my plants picked up for Garden in the Box, and it's going really well, but it's and
Yeah, that is.
yeah, so I'm a little overwhelmed.
So are you getting rid of grass and
I completely took grass out,
that is a lot of work.
at least on the front.
That's great.
My puppies would hate me if I took it completely out.
Completely, absolutely. Yeah, they don't like that.
Can't throw a frisbee.
One more agenda item.
Oh, I was gonna say I haven't,
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Oh,
Anyone
go
from
ahead.
the board?
yeah, it's the historian's brief.
Oh,
yes.
yes, historians brief.
This week, this month, because it's sort of on topic, I chose the Auto House. Since we're kinda, we're talking about that. So, knowing that the Auto House was built in 1904, included a turntable built on the floor, ceiling was decorated tin. Apartment above the Auto House provided a 2-room living quarters, which were originally connected to the lower floor by an interior staircase. It also had a call button, so the chauffeur could be summoned from the main house. And then, of course, after being gifted by Tom and Alice in 1938, the Auto House served many purposes. And first off, starting on or about May 27th, 1939, City Council approved plans allowing a committee to proceed with work. So this addresses the whole question of when was the turntable taken out. So, and this is from old City Council minutes and things. They approved plans allowing a committee to proceed with work to modify the automobile house for a museum. Modifications included removal of the turntable and floor, installation of oak flooring, the interior stairway removed, the window in the rear east building, removal of the, and I'll give this to you, Cindy.
Okay.
Removal of the original double doors on the west side of the building and installation of a single door. That was as of on or about May 27th, 1939. That's when the City Council approved these plans to go forward. Now, as of March 26th, 1940, it was done. It had been remodeled, redecorated, and the floor covered with linoleum.
Oh,
right?
yeah, that's about what they did all that.
Anyway, going forward, then in July 15th of the same year, 1940, the Longmont Pioneer Museum, it was the first museum of Longmont, opened to the public for the first time in the Auto House. So, and in 1954, so basically 14 years later, the space became a problem. The museum was growing, and so the museum moved to the basement of the St. Brand Memorial Building, opened to the Auto House. So thereafter, it was kind of late 50s, 60s, and definitely as of March of 1971, it was the home to the Longmont chapter of the American Red Cross.
Really?
Mhm.
Wow.
Then in 1978, Boulder County Legal Aid Offices held the building as an office until 1982. And then thereafter, the building was vacant for 3 years due to a quote red tag on boiler. Some sort of mechanical issue that may cause that to go, whoop, no more anything in that building. But then in the summer of 1985, the St. Vrain Historical Society undertook the extensive renovation of the building in return for a 20-year lease to use the building for an office. The renovation included removal of the linoleum to reveal the oak floor. The tin ceilings were preserved, and attempting to preserve the Victorian flavor of the building, the furnishings followed suit, so they put some furnishings in there. A table once used by the Callahans was rescued from the basement of the house and restored. So, put out there. I don't know if that's what happened. And then chauffeurs' records of work on some of the later vehicles were discovered and preserved. So. And then after the St. Vrain Historical Society vacated the building, after the end of their lease, the automobile house was remodeled in May of 2005. And here we are today, and that's
Very cool.
Wow.
so a little history about the auto house
That's
and how it's been
amazing.
used over the years.
I have a question. Do we have a picture of the turntable?
No, I have
Because
looked.
that's what people
I can't
ask
look
over and
it
over
up.
again,
Yeah,
if
it's
they
like,
could
no.
see it.
Yeah.
We don't like to see it.
Yeah.
I asked Eric Mason of the museum because they were the first in. No, I've looked through old city records. No, I even looked for permits to try and see if there was a permit pulled and then anything to attach. No, none of that.
So
So sadly,
were
no
any designs
photos.
given,
That would be nice
In
if there was a sketch
1939?
or something.
In what do you mean?
were any designs given to city council on what
I
how
didn't
removal?
find
Nothing.
any. So I was really sad about that. The only thing I have is a picture from another example of a turntable. And I don't know that, I can certainly keep looking, if I have that. I can certainly keep looking, but the reality is
No.
nobody paused to capture history and say, okay, before and after. And I think we're better at that nowadays, obviously, but unfortunately.
Because
in
honestly,
those times,
on
it
my
did
wish
not.
list, if we could ever locate one, because that's what people would like to see what it looked like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we do the tours here, that's one of the things I'm asked over and over again, can we see it?
Yeah.
And I'm like, unfortunately, no.
They wanna
I'd
know
like to
how
have
it
some more in
functions.
general things around that talk a little bit more about the history of the house. Like, we're not a museum, but I think we can incorporate some of those elements in a sort of a more permanent way that doesn't affect the aesthetic of the home, but
Yeah.
people visiting can get some information without having to take an official tour. Like
Yes.
even just posting something like that information that Karen just shared in the Auto House and some photo. There was a photo, I guess, at one point of like the original fireplace, just
Right.
things, some
Yeah.
boards around. to
Well,
leave us out with
if
some
we have a picture of the
information.
original fireplace, and then we have a tile that was removed, and we have the tile, if we
Yeah,
could put
I
it
think we
together.
can put some like,
Yeah, it'd be
more
nice to have two
museum-like
things together.
displays around. That's kind of
Right.
my like long-term goals
That's
is
great.
to have some things like that. And then that helps us too with open
a
houses, not having to
Yeah.
hand out so much paper.
Yeah.
Yeah. Later too, so. Yeah.
So it's a black and white, it's just a copy from the Longmont Ledger from 1927. And this is an example of what a turntable looked like in that time. And that's
Oh,
not
that's
just
even be
cool.
something to
That's from the
incorporate and say
Longmont
this is
Ledger.
an
That is
example.
not Callahan, but that is an
Yeah.
example.
This
of-
isn't it, but.
But it's
an
a
example.
good example, that
This
would
is
be
Longmont
amazing.
Ledger.
That's better than
This is
nothing.
a turntable.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I
you
like
might
it.
find it, including something that says an example of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Taken from the Longmont Ledger and
Yeah.
that they used.
That's really interesting.
Anyway, it's.
That would
yeah,
be
I-
kind
I-
of cool, so at least we could direct them to it and say, this is what it looked like. Because I think in their mind, they're thinking, well, how would that work if you've got a turntable? Where's the bar that turns it? And
Right.
they can't visualize it.
Right.
So
But anyway, the
Thank you.
beautiful
That's super
significance
cool
of the Auto House and
information.
why I'm fighting to keep it usable for so many reasons.
And that's also my purpose.
And I
But
just
we
don't
just have
want
to
to make
figure
it
out what that looks
storage.
like.
I think
We don't want to
everything's-
make it storage either. Like that. The point is, it is storage right now, and we do need to have
And it
some
needs to be
storage in
cleaned
there.
up
But
what it
it,
is.
yeah, we want it to not feel like a storage space, so
Yeah.
that it is more usable.
Because that's
So,
detracting from
yeah.
it.
Yeah,
And
we
whether
want
that
people to be able
means
to walk
that
in and
this-
look around and go, oh, this is kind of what, you know, and even who knows, maybe I can come up with a way that we can put together a little map that we roll out that has like a drawing
A
of
schematic
this,
of it.
yeah, of the
Oh,
turntable on the
yeah.
floor,
Huh.
so that it's like, so that it's a map that people would step on and walk on and stuff, but at least we
Oh,
could
wouldn't
roll
that
it
be
out
cool?
for
Yeah.
tours days, and then people could stand in there and look and go,
Oh,
this
that's
is how
great.
this would have worked.
Yeah, no, my goal is definitely
Oh, that's
like
cool,
to
too.
return things to their historic aesthetic
Yeah.
while being functional and making that space more usable than
Yeah.
it is now, which is
So
just
to,
like a,
to me, that would be a good place to put the, I am having so many issues with words today, I'm so sorry. The little graphy thing that you click with your phone, why can't I think?
The QR
code.
The QR code,
Yeah.
that would be a great thing to put all that information
yeah.
that she just had with the QR code right on.
Oh, that'd
That's-
be great. Yeah.
That's the
cool.
tie-in.
Yeah.
It's helpful.
It
Gives
is.
everybody easy, quick access to it.
Thank you for
Yeah, I
all
want-
your
Thanks for
patience.
Very
digging
much
into
so.
all of that.
So-
That's great information.
That'll be
Lots of fun.
Really interesting, yeah.
Yeah, a big project I think
Very
for down the road is
nice.
getting that stuff
All
around, you know, in an appropriate way, but available for people.
I
Even
think
if
Oh,
somebody's
love
just
that.
coming for a birthday party and they
That's
get
exactly
that
right.
educational
That's
experience
what
also.
I offer.
I think, and without having the official tour, that's one of those things. Okay,
So, okay, one more item.
Okay, one more item. Shall we just leave this camera horn book rights
In the future, just
in
keep
the
it.
future?
Yeah,
Keep
it's
it there.
gonna stay here, but
Okay.
from the last meeting, it was requested, I don't remember who it
Was
was,
it
but I think it might have been, somebody thought that they might be able to get contact information for the nephew or whoever it
I
is.
haven't, I can ask again, but I haven't. Most of them were saying, I don't know, so.
Okay,
It's,
his legal actually did get back to us about that.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, and basically we need to reach out to the family or their,
I'll keep
power of attorney or
keep
whoever
working on it.
and see what they will allow us to
Right.
do.
One of the
You have to prove that you made
more
that effort.
elderly ladies that I need to speak with should be at the meeting tomorrow, so.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent.
So yeah, that's,
Keep working on it.
I'm
Yeah.
waiting on contact information for somebody associated with them so that we can at least make an attempt to reach out to them. If they'll give us permanent printing rights would be the best, or a one-time print, and then we'll make a very large order. And then the eventual, if we don't get permanent printing rights, would be to work with the museum or whomever to create a new
Well,
version.
on our annual report to City Council, we included that ideally, one of our future goals in this year would be to create a booklet that could be sold, and the booklet would be more of the information about the tour,
Yeah.
room detail, all of that.
Right.
And it can also include other details that perhaps aren't included in this horn book, and so it would
Yeah.
serve an additional purpose of covering
Yeah.
the
Didn't
info,
Eric
but-
from the museum write a book in regards to doing stuff about the Longmont history?
He just,
He's
yeah,
done
a couple years ago, they
couple.
released
He's done a
a
couple.
history of Longmont.
But that didn't highlight,
It was an overall,
It was just.
It's just an overall, that's what I thought, but
yeah.
But I do
it's
think
somebody
it
that
would
would have a contact information on how we went about it.
Yeah, I think, there are sources that can help us.
Sources, that's what I mean.
And it also can be heavily like
I get it.
sourced
I
from
hear
the
you.
State Horn book
Yeah.
as a resource.
Yes,
you
as a
know?
I'm
resource.
going
we
from
can
my
source
treatment
the
on
information
Friday.
from
Yeah.
Okay.
Site.
So just
Yeah.
bear with me.
Yeah, so anyway, that's where we're at with that. It'll remain a future agenda item for a while.
Okay, sounds good.
I will try to work on that.
I appreciate it. I know it's like not an easy task, but
Every
We have
every
no
chance I
idea
get,
what's
I'll keep on working.
Okay.
Working away.
Yeah, you never know when something's gonna come up.
Nope.
You'll get the information you need. Okay, is there anything else anybody wants to bring up? Can we entertain
It is
Motion for
11:55. I move we adjourn.
Oh, you want to
A second?
Yay.
Oh, sorry.
Do you
All
all
in
still
favor,
have
yeah.
time to meet today, or are you supposed to?
So are we having our second meeting here or upstairs?